Stick with me, you're about to see how our main character built a sanctuary during the apocalypse. But everything went south because he fell for those beautiful legs. They rescued this woman because she was supposedly kind, yeah, right? If you know what I mean. Turns out she was an enemy mole who opened the base gates in the middle of the night. Now he is literally hanging over a swarm of zombies while his girlfriend is clinging to another guy. She is laughing in his face, while those friends who actually helped him are all lying dead on the floor. In the end, it is all his fault for falling for those legs. All he can do now is curse her and hope for her miserable death. But the hottie doesn't care, since she has already found a new protector, the big rich guy. Now pay attention, the fat guy just thanks him for the supplies before dropping him into a cage of hungry zombies. He wanted a taste of the girl, but he ended up becoming just another snack for the undead. In his final moments, he swore he would get revenge if he had another chance. Then boom. He wakes up in the past with those same legs in front of him. He barely opened his eyes and she was already nagging him not to forget the 400,000 for the bride price. Things are going to be different this time. He is not going to let a pair of pretty legs fool him. Actually, I think some pretty legs might hook him again later. But hey, who hasn't been there? Can't really judge the guy. He wanted to choke the life out of her, but that is too easy. So today, he just kicks her out. This caught her by surprise because he used to be her loyal little puppy, but now the big dog is seeking revenge. He has exactly 1 month before the apocalypse begins, and this time, there is a brand new twist. The system appeared with rewards, letting him trade points for overpowered supply boxes and elite body enhancements. To start, he goes straight to a food app and orders the absolute best meal of his entire life. You saw how he suffered before, right? Well, now he is finally going to enjoy a real meal until his phone rings. It was the hottie's annoying friend calling to get under his skin. He just tells her to go deal with a psycho and hangs up immediately. He finally let out all the toxic resentment he had been holding deep in his soul. Now he needs to build a fortress. So that same day, he heads straight to a real estate agency to buy land. The clerk is actually helpful, but the manager shows up being a jerk, yelling at the girl and making her unload a truck. He tries to say she has a client, but he tells her not to waste time on some broke loser. He even jokes that if this guy buys even one bathroom, he will go on a live stream and eat garbage. Our hero just laughs and says he will find him some fresh trash later. Then he pulls out his card to buy land. Everyone is completely shocked because that kind of land is insanely expensive. The girl keeps helping him and brings over the paperwork. He tells her he has specific requirements and won't settle for anything less than perfect. The land needs to be near the mountains with a steady supply of fresh running water. It would be even better if it had massive factories on the property too. Girl thinks it is a weird request but promises she will find something. Suddenly, the manager mentions a spot in the East District, mocking him because he thinks the kid can't afford it. Jang Xiaoyang asks if it has everything, and it does. But the girl warns him the factories aren't even finished yet. He doesn't care and tells her to hurry up because someone has a date with a plate of fresh garbage. He actually paid. The manager is losing his mind because he just dropped 300,000 on land with unfinished factories. Before leaving, he tells the manager to enjoy his live stream. Even the other customers say they are going to record the scene. One guy even offers him some lobster he ate last night just to be extra petty to the manager. And just like that, the first system mission is done. He even used the bride money to pay for the land. Suddenly, the big guy from his past life walks right past him. He wonders what that jerk is doing here. So what do you and I take from this? Simple revenge is on the way, and it will be absolutely glorious. The scene then shifts to Jing, who gets a call from Shushang about Xiaoyang going to that real estate company. That definitely caught her attention. She wonders how Xiaoyang could afford land, and Shuang says he probably used the money saved for their marriage. Bing is furious that her money was used for his own plans. Her friend just tells her to go confront Xiang herself. Meanwhile, our hero is planning his next move. The only real problem now, he needs way more cash. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where the apocalypse is coming, and our main character is done playing nice. It is not the cops, just those two annoying women, both furious over how he spent Jing's money. Xiaoyang is totally lost, but Jing shuts him down instantly. She accuses him of using her cash to buy land, then has the nerve to claim the whole place belongs to her. To Xiaoyang, the whole thing is absurd. He tosses a stack of cash at her, making it clear he would never use a woman's money. Then, he drops the bomb he knows she's been seeing Shuang. That leaves her speechless. Her so-called best friend tries to play peacemaker, claiming it is just a tiny misunderstanding between a couple. Xiaoyang is not buying it. He calls Jing out for cheating on him with her wealthy sugar daddy, slams the door and tells them to get lost. Even now, Jing does not feel guilty about what she did. She is only obsessed with how he found out. Her friend is shook, too. She had no clue about the secret affair and is totally grossed out it was with old man Shuchang. Even she sees they have no way to pressure Xiaoyang now. So, they will need a new plan later. The reason? Simple. She has been waiting for her own shot. Since the couple is fighting, she wants to steal him for herself. Leaving them behind, Xiaoyang heads to the half-finished factory. The construction leader warns that the place needs massive renovations plus high-tech defenses, so this project is going to take some serious time. Now, watch this. The defenses he wants are so extreme that even the professionals think it is over the top. He orders them to finish everything in 1 month. The leader laughs, saying that is impossible with their current team. Money talks. To rush the job, they will need 20 million yen. Without blinking, Xiaoyang does not even flinch at the price. He just asks if that is the final number. The leader says they need 5 million upfront to start. Xiaoyang agrees, promising the transfer within a week if they start right now. The leader is left completely speechless by his confidence. Xiaoyang even promises to hand over the land if he fails to pay. Total confidence, total power move. The deal is set, but then Kui Jing's friend shows up to ruin the moment. He acts all close and grabs his arm, asking what he's doing there. Xiaoyang is already irritated. In his past life, she helped steal everything he owned. He plans to settle that score later. For now, he just asks why on earth she is here. She ignores him and asks if this is his new land, wondering if a villa is being built. Done with the small talk, Xiaoyang pulls away and tells her to mind her own business. She is furious. She cannot believe he is being so cold. Xiaoyang ignores her again, telling the workers to widen the gate. She is fuming at being treated like a ghost. Since his relationship with Kui Jing is dying, she still thinks she has a chance to swoop in. Back home, Xiaoyang tries using his house as collateral. It is still not enough for the upfront costs, so he starts plotting some bigger scams. You and I know the apocalypse is coming, so selling one house to 5 different people? Totally fair game. His peace is shattered by an old man pounding on the door and screaming at him to open up. It is his rich neighbor, Grandpa Li. He already owns the first 2 floors, and now he wants Xiaoyang's apartment, too. In the old timeline, Xiaoyang kept this place, thinking it would be his perfect home after the wedding. But after all the betrayal, and with Grandpa Li constantly nagging him, he starts seeing things a bit differently. Grandpa Li scolds him for being a party animal, but Xiaoyang just shuts him down. Instead of a fight, Xiaoyang suddenly agrees to sell. That flips the old man's mood in a heartbeat. He is stunned, but Xiaoyang has one condition. Since his new place won't be ready for 6 months, he needs 5 million upfront to clear his debts first. If Grandpa Li says no, the deal is dead. Right here, right now. The old man agrees but insists on a contract to avoid any legal drama later on. That is fine by Xiaoyang, especially since he knows Grandpa Li won't even survive the coming disaster. Everything is falling into place. He is getting 5 million from the old man. Plus the 3 million he already secured, that is 8 million total in the bank. Since he cleared the first mission requirement, it is finally time to claim that sweet reward. Next, Xiaoyang hits the grocery store, tearing through the aisles and loading up at full speed. People are staring, wondering if he has lost his mind. I mean, he is pushing 7 carts overflowing with supplies. They think he fell for some doomsday rumor. Xiaoyang just ignores the noise and finishes his second task. Now, he has to spend his points. He could buff his stats, but the protagonist's toolbox is the better play, so he drops everything on it. Let us open it together. Alright, stick with me. You and I are about to watch a regular guy get the most overpowered system reward ever. No more worrying about rotting food since this space keeps everything frozen. But get this, the system is just getting started. To earn more points, he now needs 10 years of supplies instead of just 1. His massive shopping spree causes a scene, and security arrives just as Yang Tao recognizes his old target standing there. Back in school, Yang Tao was a total jerk who loved picking on the weak, especially our main character, Xiaoyang. He starts barking orders, telling Xiaoyang to put everything back and stop playing games. Xiaoyang just laughs. This guy hasn't changed a bit. He claims he's buying it all, but Yang Tao thinks he's full of it and demands the cash right now. An hour later, 4 exhausted cashiers finally finish ringing up the huge mountain of items. The bill hits nearly 57,000. Yang Tao demands payment instantly, so Xiaoyang calmly swipes his card, and to everyone's shock, it works. Totally embarrassed, the bully tries to leave, but our main character isn't letting him off yet. Demands a real apology for all the disrespect, or he will cancel the entire order right now. Yang Tao is furious. He thinks it is a trap, but with cameras everywhere, he is trapped in a corner. Crowd starts pressuring him to apologize before he goes viral for being a jerk. Xiaoyang just reminds him that saying sorry is free. Even jokes that a sincere apology might make him buy 10 times more stuff. Now watch this closely. You and I are about to see him humble this bully with one single swipe of his card. I cannot believe our hero has 7 million just sitting in his account. With no other choice, he is forced to apologize. The loudmouth bully finally cracks and bows his head in total defeat. Xiaoyang even pats his head like a dog, telling him to be nicer next time. As they leave, Yang Tao wonders about the horde. Our hero just brushes it off. It is none of his business, and he has got way bigger plans to handle. The manager, acting much nicer now, suggests using a wholesaler for big orders. Xiaoyang asks if he knows anyone who can help. Yang Tao mentions their old school leader, Jang Xiaoyang, who is now running a major wholesale operation. He even calls his boss about a new VIP client. Xiaoyang is surprised this loser is still following the same leader years later. A few minutes later, Yang Tao leads him to meet his old boss. Suddenly, a car screeches to a halt and out steps the same arrogant jerk from their school days, Jang Xiaoyang. He is eager to meet the big spender, and Yang Tao reminds him that this is actually their old classmate. Since it has been forever, Xiaoyang does not recognize him at first. He stares hard before the memories finally start coming back. It is the kid who never listened to them. Xiaoyang tries to mock his cheap-looking clothes, but Xiaoyang just plays along like an idiot. That reaction makes the boss think he is wasting his time. There is no way this kid is a real whale. He literally kicks Yang Tao, claiming he can spot a rich person from a mile away just by looking. You and I both know what happens when someone underestimates the main character like this. His aura is pathetic. Xiaoyang does not even blink and says it again. Hilariously, Shangji only gets mad at being called a total moron, ignores the rest but kicks Yang Tao again for trying to play peacemaker. Things are getting heated fast. Furious, Jang Xiaoyang threatens that Xiaoyang will not leave safely unless he places a massive order right then and there. Xiaoyang stays cool and flashes his bank balance again. The boss's jaw hits the floor. He is ready to drop 1 million as a deposit, with a full order totaling 5 million. This is big money. Suddenly interested, the boss asks what he needs. Xiaoyang tells him he wants anything that people can eat or drink. Even with a massive client, this greedy jerk starts planning to dump all his nearly expired food on him. At the warehouse, he offers a 10% discount to take the whole lot, but Xiaoyang only cares about the quality. He checks a bag and immediately spots the scam. Almost everything here is right on the edge of expiring. Caught off guard by how much he knows about the business, the boss offers a 50% discount, but Xiaoyang still refuses. For 5 million, he wants the good stuff. But then he says he might actually have a use for the trash. Since the boss already offered 50% off, Xiaoyang uses that to start the real deal. He wants all the expired goods too, but he will pay in a month. The boss agrees, but worries Xiaoyang will flake once it is useless. Xiaoyang offers his house as collateral, making the boss even more curious about what the hell he is planning. Within days, even expired food becomes a luxury. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. You and I are about to see how this guy moves in silence. He ignores the boss, finishes the deal, and promises the address later. Right then, Xiaoyang gets a call from someone looking to buy his house. He finishes up at the warehouse and leaves. Yanga can only wonder if they're the ones who actually got played here. Even the boss is baffled by how this normal-looking kid spends millions so casually. Soon, the buyer drops a 400,000 deposit and lets him stay there for 3 more months. Xiaoyang doesn't care about the house because the world is ending soon anyway, though the old man's desperation is surprising. Man didn't even inspect it, which makes Xiaoyang curious about the rush. He says it's for his granddaughter's school transfer. They love the place, so they just went for it. Xiaoyang jokes about hiking the price after hearing the man's story, which totally terrifies the poor guy, but he quickly reassures him that the original price is staying exactly where it is. They sign the contract, and the sale is officially done. The old man is beyond grateful, but seeing his kindness hits Xiaoyang pretty hard. Good people like them won't stand a chance when the zombies finally arrive. Hoping to help, he asks for their address before heading back to check on his bunker's progress. First payment cleared, and the captain is already itching for the second. Xiaoyang promises it's coming, seeing the work is 80% finished. Pay attention here, the defenses are solid and the warehouse is clean, so he orders Jang Xiaoyang to start moving every single crate of supplies right now. Goods arrive in massive piles, and he even tips every worker 2,000 for the hustle. He joins in, making sure the perishables are stored in the perfect spots. By sunset, everything is sorted. Xiaoyang looks over his massive haul with pride. He's officially hoarded 10 years of supplies and scored 20 system points. Time to open another mystery box. The best part? He's getting powers before the zombie outbreak even starts. He drops 10 points on a mystery box and pulls the mind's eye ability, allowing him to sense any hidden hostility or bad vibes from people. That is going to be a total game changer for the apocalypse. Now he's tasked with gathering a massive arsenal, which was already his plan. At night, things get shady at the black market where everyone's hunting for antiques. Shady characters are everywhere, including Xu Jiang, who's currently lowballing a seller for jewelry. Watching that guy buy fakes just confirms he's a total scammer through and through. Finally, Xiaoyang spots something that's actually useful. He hits a melee stall looking for the real deal, but the seller suggests basic batons. Xiaoyang needs something way more lethal than that. You and I are watching a legend in the making as he transfers 200,000 instantly. Now interested, they head somewhere private to talk. In the back, the man offers weak homemade guns for 2,000, but Xiaoyang declines. He needs zombie killers, not toys. The seller then pulls out a 5,000 win replica revolver. Still not impressed, especially with 200,000 already paid. The seller is floored when Xiaoyang mentions that 200,000 was just a 10% deposit. He is actually ready to drop a full 2 million on high-grade weapons. The seller is left wondering what kind of life this kid leads, but Xiaoyang just tells him to stop wasting time and keep the tour moving. Ready to reveal the good stuff, the man seals the room tight, promises to hook Xiaoyang up with a top-tier weapons supplier. The real business is set for a few days later, but as he leaves the storage room, he runs straight into Shuang again. The guy assumes Xiaoyang is just pawning off items to get by. Xiaoyang ignores the bait and decides to test his new skill on the seller first, confirming the man actually has zero bad intentions. Shang is radiating nothing but bad vibes, so Xiaoyang fires back by roasting those fake bracelets. That one line sets him off completely, and honestly, you and I are about to see this rivalry get much more dangerous. The real business begins. Stick with me. We are watching Xiang start his journey. The seller sides with him, offering to beat the old creep. Xiang leaves, pleased, while Shang is in tears as thugs close in with batons. They throw him down and beat him until he is covered in bruises. This only makes him hate Xiaoyang more, and he swears bloody revenge. 2 days later, a truck of weapons arrives, finishing the mission and giving him a bonus reward, a physical enhancement potion. It has a ×2 effect, making it better than the store version. Not wasting a second, he loads the syringe and injects it. Immediately, he sees his strength pass the human average of 5 points. He's now at 7, a 40% power boost. And he checks the store, which only offers a survival kit and another enhancement potion. Craving even more power, he buys the potion and injects it too. Now Xiang hits 8 strength points, 60% stronger than an average man. To test it, he kicks a hardened rod so hard it bends and cracks the wall. With power like this, zombies are in trouble. He stores the weapons in his ring, pulling every crate inside. Analyzing the current situation, Bridge has shown. Pay attention, the clock is ticking. The apocalypse starts in 2 days. He needs to handle loose ends, thinking of the old man he met. Even after being betrayed before, Xiang still wants to help people when he can. He plans to give the family enough supplies to survive. After that, it is up to them. Soon, Xiaoyang reaches the old man's home. It took effort to find the place, and climbing those stairs shows him how hard the old man's life really is. Standing at the door, he unloads the supplies first to make things easy. The ring summons food and crates, then he knocks. The old man approaches nervously, apologizing for the rent, but freezes when he sees Xiang. He is shocked by the mountain of supplies the kid brought along. Xiaoyang says there is no time to explain. Once the crates are inside, the old man is amazed by his stamina. Xia decides the apartment is secure enough. He warns the old man to tell nobody what he is about to hear, then says they must use these supplies carefully because the world is about to change forever. He notices a photo of the granddaughter. To his shock, it is Shen Shan, a friend from the apocalypse. He asks to confirm, and the grandfather is stunned he knows her name. Xiang asks where she is. She is at school in her hometown. In the original timeline, he met her after she was left in regret over her grandfather's death. The old man died saving her, and Xiaoyang refuses to let that tragedy happen again. He tells him the world ends tomorrow. Zombies are coming and nowhere will be safe. They need to pick up Shan Shan and find a base. The old man can barely process this. Still, Xiaoyang must make him understand. He compares it to a famine. Then he proves it by pulling the furniture back into his ring. Bridge #2. See that? He has powers and can see the future. The old man is speechless at the magic. That is why they need to go to Shan Shan's school right now. Arriving at the school, they begin searching for her dorm. They find Shan Shan getting slapped by a jealous girl over some boy. Even though Shan Shan says she has nothing to do with him, the girl hits her again for making excuses. The group keeps bullying Shan Shan for acting like she does not care. Luckily, her grandpa rushes in. He tells them to let her go, but violent teens step in and threaten him. For his granddaughter, the old man charges in to face the 3 boys. One boy raises a baseball bat at his head, but before it lands, Xiaoyang catches his arm, mocking them for acting like gangsters. He answers with a brutal kick that drops the guy instantly. The other 2 wonder if he is some kind of pro. They surround him, but Xiaoyang ducks a swing easily with his boosted, high-speed body. His reactions are on another level. He slams the attacker into the ground, knocking him out cold. Bridge #3. Now watch carefully, because these punks are about to learn a lesson. The leader tries to sneak in with a knife, but Xiaoyang turns and drives a hard kick under his thigh. The guy goes down instantly. Bridge #4. Trust me, you and I just witnessed a perfect ending. One slap to the bully, and it is over. Stick with me, we are starting this story with absolute chaos as Xiaoyang grabs a girl's hair and presses a sharp blade right against her neck. He swings the blade fast, making her let out a terrified scream. Shan Shan thinks she is dead, but he only sliced off her long hair. He screams that she will never forgive him, but Xiaoyang does not care. He says he did her a favor by losing the extra weight and she will understand soon. He tells Shan it is time to move. She is confused, but she follows him anyway. While driving, her grandpa explains the situation, calling this whole disaster a massive global famine. Shan thinks it is just another scam, but her grandpa insists it is real. Xiaoyang smiles watching them bicker. He is just glad she is happy in this timeline. Xiaoyang reveals he was the one who warned her grandpa. This version of Shan has zero clue who he is, so he finally introduces himself the right way. He thanks him for the rescue, but Xiaoyang knows those bullies probably will not survive what is coming next. Shan is still lost. Xiaoyang explains he only called it a famine so her grandpa would not panic about the real end of the world. She starts to feel better until he uses a new word, apocalypse, and crushes her hope instantly. He tells her the news should be showing signs of pure chaos by now. Shan checks her phone and sees clips of a rabies-like virus making people lose control and attack others. The more she watches, the more terrified she gets. Those infected look absolutely nightmarish. You and I can see it now. The apocalypse is officially starting. Shan learns that toxic smog will break out tomorrow and cover several provinces across the country. This smog will change everything forever. A massive chunk of the population will turn into zombies right away. After that, they will hunt the survivors. Once those people die, they rise again, making the horde even bigger. Shan knows what zombies are, but this reality is still way too insane for her to fully believe. Xiaoyang knows she will accept it once the world falls apart. For now, they have a different problem: traffic. Even the emergency lane is jammed, which shocks Xiaoyang. Shan worries zombies will catch them while they are stuck. Xiaoyang tells her not to worry yet since the main apocalypse has not actually started quite yet. However, even before the big disaster begins, a smaller outbreak could easily happen right here in this jam. Suddenly, a reckless driver forces his way through the lanes and slams directly into Xiaoyang's car. That instantly makes him furious, so he blocks the guy from entering the emergency lane. The driver stops and starts screaming at Xiaoyang. It is just some spoiled rich guy in a Mercedes. Shan's grandpa says to drop it, but Xiaoyang disagrees. If this guy keeps it up, he is dead. An hour later, the traffic clears and the drama seems over. But Shan spots that same driver racing up, trying to cut them off again. Even Xiaoyang is shocked. This idiot actually rushes ahead just to taunt them one more time. Let's pause for a second. Xiaoyang does not care about playing nice with idiots anymore because he knows the coming apocalypse will wipe out every single rule. So, he just rams the man's car, sending it spinning wildly off the side of the road. The spoiled driver stumbles out and immediately calls the police, desperate to get Xiaoyang arrested. This guy is the type who never lets a grudge go. Next, the group returns to the secure facility Xiaoyang has been preparing. Even Shan's grandpa is completely stunned that they will be living in this place from now on. Xiaoyang tells them their lives will change forever tomorrow, so they should rest up. The next day, he is relaxing in the sun when Shan joins him. For once, she actually slept well after her busy classes. Xiaoyang is excited to show off his fortress. While walking, he explains the thick concrete walls and the remote gate that is strong enough to keep everyone out. He lays down one hard rule: absolutely no one enters this fortress without his personal permission. It makes Shan worry about other survivors. Is he really going to just leave them outside to die? To answer that, he takes them somewhere else, explaining that disasters always bring out the worst in people. Because of that, they must be careful. If they are too kind, it could easily get them killed. He says he already set up a buffer zone as a temporary shelter for others, but he warns them again, never let anyone inside the main fortress. Next, he takes them to the food storage area and explains exactly how they will manage their supplies. Inside the warehouse, he gives them one last look. Using his eye of insight, he reads their true intentions. You and I can see he finally trusts them. Next, he summons powerful weapons that will be vital for their survival. Alright, stick with me. Grandpa gets a shotgun while Shan grabs a strong crossbow. One rule matters most: never let these weapons fall into anyone else's hands. Now, it's time to check the system mission. Xiaoyang needs his old partner, Jang Xiaoyang, a loyal friend from his original timeline who's essential for what's coming. The struggle is tracking him down, but luckily, the system reveals the exact city where Jang Xiaoyang is hiding out. Leaving the duo in charge with a final warning about his rules, he heads out. He's got to recruit another member for the fortress before the apocalypse truly kicks off. To a local karaoke bar where a group of friends is just hanging out and singing their hearts out. Heading to the restroom, Jang Xiaoyang accidentally bumps into a pretty girl and tries to apologize quickly to avoid trouble. Her boyfriend doesn't care and kicks him anyway. Jang Xiaoyang hits the floor hard while his friend rushes over to check on him. Four Eyes steps up to square off with the thug, but standing his ground only makes the guy even angrier. Jerk grabs Jang Xiaoyang's friend and starts roughing him up. Jang Xiaoyang is desperate, begging him to just let go. A nearby waiter sees the chaos unfolding. He's already feeling sick with a cold, and now this fight starts up too. He jumps in to stop it, The rich punk acts tough and grabs the waiter, but the waiter manages to signal the kids to run. Jang Chi and his friend bolt for safety. They make it back to their karaoke room, safe at least for the moment. Their friends are completely shocked to see them rush back into the room looking like that. Four Eyes explains they were beaten by thugs and only escaped because of the waiter. Hearing that gets the rest of the group fired up. They're ready to head back out and settle the score for messing with one of their own. Jang Chi calms them down, but trust me, things are about to get way worse. The waiter is beaten bloody, and that rich thug has brought 3 more friends to hunt down the whole group. Watch closely here. The leader orders his men to grab them immediately. Jang Chi and Four Eyes can't fight back, so they stay down. Only one guy in the group is actually brave enough to resist. The second he tries to speak up, the thug leader smashes a glass bottle right over his head. Absolute brutality. Chen Chong, and yes, that's his real name, is left with blood pouring down from his forehead. Xiaoyang pulls up outside the bar, guessing this is exactly where Jang Chi would be. Meanwhile, Chen Chong is down hard. With that much blood on the floor, he needs a hospital right now. The thug leader looks to his girl for her approval. He demands they punish the kid who bumped into her, putting Jang Chi next in line for a serious beating. Suddenly, Chen Chong lunges up to attack the leader. If a lackey hadn't stopped him, he might have crushed the guy's face. Shocked that a college kid would dare fight back, the leader smashes another bottle over Chen Chong's head to finish him. Chen Chong collapses again as his friends panic. Seeing this sends Jang Chi into a rage, but the thugs quickly hold them all down. The final group member just trembles off to the side. The waiter is barely conscious while the thugs keep beating the group. When he finally swings, he misses completely, but then something shifts. The waiter's eyes turn bloodshot as he throws himself into the fight like a wild animal, biting a man's shoulder and horrifying everyone. You and I both know what's happening, but these thugs have no clue why the waiter suddenly snapped like this. They rush to hold him down, but he's way too strong. The waiter spins around and bites another thug's arm. He's completely lost his mind now, easily overpowering the man and slamming him straight to the floor. Suddenly, that same beast is pinned by a random guy who turns out to be Xiaoyang. He steps in, telling everyone to quit messing around. The thugs are stunned. A second ago, they were losing to the waiter, and now this kid has him pinned without any effort. The leader demands to know who Xiaoyang is, but he just ignores him, asking Jang Chi if he's been bitten anywhere. Luckily, he's safe, though he has absolutely no clue why Xiaoyang is asking such a weird question. Xiaoyang tells him they need to leave immediately, but the thug leader still isn't done and blocks their path. Meanwhile, one of his men gets a brutal headache after being bitten. Xiaoyang instantly understands what's about to happen. Infection is spreading fast. He asks the man if the bite on his shoulder came from that same rabid waiter. The thug confirms it, though he still doesn't get why it matters so much. Xiaoyang realizes the man was already infected, and with a bite that close to his head, he's done for. He grabs the zombie waiter, tosses him into the restroom, and slams the door. The creature keeps smashing against the door, but zombies at this early stage still can't figure out how to open them. Then Xiaoyang turns back to the thugs. He gets ready to throw down and asks Jang Chi which guy he should hit first. Trust me, you and I are going to love seeing Jang Chi's reaction when he realizes who his savior is. Alright, you and I are about to watch this thug leader learn a painful lesson. Xiaoyang totally humbles him, grabbing his face and slamming his skull into the floor. When the infected lackey lunges, Xiaoyang drops him with one massive punch to the face. The guy collapses and his friend is terrified. One single punch shouldn't have done that much damage. Now the fallen thug starts writhing in agony. Xiaoyang just dares the rest of them to step up too. He tells Jang Chi to take the group to a private room and wait outside. Jang Chi doesn't hesitate and helps his wounded buddy out. Gang's tough act vanishes the moment they realize they are completely and utterly outmatched. But Xiaoyang isn't letting them leave. He calls the leader a drunk fool for risking his brother's life and decides it is time for some payback. He throws the thug back inside the room and slams the lock shut. The leader bangs on the door, but he is trapped. Behind him, his infected friend has finally turned into a monster and lunges for a snack. Seconds later, the hallway fills with horrific screams as they get ripped apart. Then, a staff member walks over. Xiaoyang tells him to secure the door and call the police about a dangerous rabid flu patient inside. The worker freezes in terror until Xiaoyang yells at him to do it right now, so he panics and quickly locks it with a key. With that settled, Xiaoyang leads the group safely out of the building. Meanwhile, the staff are freaking out about the noises from that room, spreading rumors that a dangerous rabid flu patient is trapped inside for real. Now pay attention, because the very second they check the security footage, all of their faces go completely pale with fear. Everyone in there has turned into a flesh-eating monster. They are tearing each other apart, so the staff call the police immediately. Luckily, our main character and the group make it out alive, piling into the car and speeding away. Jang Chi is grateful, but he is still wondering who this mysterious guy actually is. Xiaoyang finally introduces himself and says a mysterious client hired him to protect them, though he won't say who. One guy is skeptical, claiming the internet says the flu is fake. Xiaoyang asks if what they just saw looked fake to them. Then, the guy in glasses nervously asks about a cure. Xiaoyang says no. From here on out, things are getting much worse until the entire world falls into total chaos. Zombie attacks have already begun. The infection is spreading rapidly, even if it is just a local outbreak for now. Most infected are still incubating and will turn soon. If they want to survive, they have to follow him. They all agree. Right then, a mission complete alert pops up, unlocking new store items and essential supplies for later. The item that really catches his eye, the post-apocalyptic cultivator box. Since the boxes look epic, he will open them at the fortress. But first, he needs to earn the group's trust. In the past timeline, this group was killed by a traitor, and that snake is sitting right there with them. Yeah, you and I are watching a real-life game of Among Us to find the imposter. Let's check on Kui Jing. She is too scared to go outside after the news and wants everything delivered to her door. Suddenly, someone starts pounding on her door, sending her into a total panic. She quickly hangs up and checks outside. It is just her best friend, who tells her that a neighbor was just dragged away by the police in a crowded ambulance. Seems like he was infected too. That explains the tension in the building. Her friend asks about the supplies Xu Shang promised, but they aren't here yet. So she plots to stroke his ego and tell him Xiaoyang has a massive stash of supplies. Kui Jing asks how she knows, but it turns out her friend had a spy watching him and learned he is ordering huge amounts of goods. Can't believe her ex knew about the apocalypse before anyone else. Her friend wants to snitch to Xu Shang so they can steal the stash. Meanwhile, at the fortress, Jiang Qi is floored. Didn't expect a literal fortress. Xiaoyang says that's the normal reaction, as Shan Shan and her grandpa welcome them. He tells them things are under control and introduces the new guys to the team. They're staying here now. He introduces Shan Shan and grandpa to the group in return. They welcome the newcomers instantly. Xiaoyang asks grandpa to give them the tour and explain the rules. One guy immediately asks for weapons. This makes Xiaoyang suspicious, knowing there's already a traitor in the group. Glasses tells Yiming to chill out. It's way too early to demand weapons before they've even earned trust. Xiaoyang promises they will get weapons in a few days. But first, they need to help their injured friend. You and I both know things are about to get even crazier. Alright, you and I are about to dive into some serious drama in this post-apocalyptic fortress. Ying thinks they are prisoners, but Four Eyes says that makes no sense since Xiaoyang saved them. Everyone is dying to know who Xiaoyang really is, especially since a secret client hired him. Yiming is acting hostile for no reason, angry that Chen Chong is not being treated directly because everyone is afraid he might be infected with the virus. This idiot actually thinks the group wants their organs, so he says they should attack first. Four Eyes warns him that if he is wrong, they would be betraying their savior. Yiming does not care at all. He wants power and plans to seize the fortress. He even suggests getting rid of the little girl and the old man while Xiaoyang is gone. The others just stare. Sensing the bad vibes, Yiming laughs it off as a joke, which helps ease the tension. Four Eyes points out that if the boss wanted their organs, they would not be roaming free. Still, Yiming plans to move alone, thinking that being a ruthless monster will give him the win. Later, Xiaoyang meets with the girl and her grandpa. Hearing that Chen Chong is resting in the clinic and everything is locked down just like he ordered. Pleased, he thanks them and tells them to rest up because tomorrow is going to be brutal. Now pay attention, because here is where Xiaoyang warns them about a possible traitor in the group. At night, Xiaoyang hits up the warehouse and opens the system store to buy the cultivator box. He also grabs the supply box full of sugar and protein, followed by the armed deterrence box. Opening all three gives him 50 corn seeds, a ton of food, and 2,500 rounds of ammo. The haul is legendary and gives him a massive advantage for the chaos that is coming next. That rich jerk who swore revenge comes back with a crew to tear the place down, but no matter how hard they hit the gate, it does not budge. Their boss is furious that the gate is this strong. They switch to heavier weapons and Molotov cocktails, tossing them inside as the fires spread. The girls rush to put them out. This just makes the girl trust Xiaoyang's more. Things are getting ugly, but Xiaoyang never backs down. He grabs a rifle to deal with the intruders and heads to the watchtower to see the enemies. Shan Xun's grandpa is the first one to realize it is the same rich brat from the highway. Thugs outside spot them too, and the snob screams for Xiaoyang to surrender or he will burn the whole place down. You and I both know Xiang does not take threats well. He gives them exactly 5 minutes to leave. The system drops a new mission, and Grandpa begs for a warning shot. The mission is simple. Wipe them out. Xiang knows a warning shot will not stop these animals. They're just criminals with zero mercy. He takes aim, knowing he has to protect his innocent people. Then, Xiaoyang pulls the trigger. The bullet shreds a man's arm, sending him screaming to the floor. Xiang was aiming for the head, but he is still getting used to the guns. Still, blowing an arm off is enough to break their spirit, and they start running. Knowing they will just return tomorrow, he opens fire and kills them all, while the survivors shove their boss into the car and scream at the driver to floor it right now, to save their lives. They try to escape, but Xiang sprays the car down with his rifle. The way he handles the gun makes the old man wonder about the kid's true identity. The car is totaled, and everyone is dead. Xiaoyang tells Shan's grandpa to have the others clean the mess. Since the apocalypse is starting, he decides to leave the corpses outside. Once they turn, he can use them for target practice. Meanwhile, Xiang does not know another group is heading their way. Jing is already annoyed because her friend will not stop flirting with the fat guy. They arrive at the factory. Jing wants her friend to come, but she gets scared. Jing drags her along anyway, saying they need to find out which factory belongs to Xiaoyang before they can move. The two girls walk toward the gate while the men prepare to move on signal. Once they get the go-ahead, he will drive in while the others make their move as well. Jing says she does not trust her friend, who claims she was only acting flirty. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens when they find those bodies. Alright, stick with me here. These two are totally frozen in fear, but they're still eyeing Xiang's massive stockpile. They're actually hoping he died in that shootout. Honestly, they only care if the food is still up for grabs. They consider calling for backup, but Jing decides they should try to sneak inside by themselves first. The gate is built like a fortress, sealed tight. Now they're wondering if Xiaoyang somehow survived all this. Shan spots them from above and calls out. The girls instantly switch to act like Xiang's old friends. Xiang gets the report, and Jing is already fuming with jealousy. She's jealous he's found someone else, but her friend warns her to focus on the guys with guns. Jing still thinks Xiaoyang can handle this since he's armed too. Getting inside, that's the real challenge. Xiaoyang steps out and activates Eye of Insight. He's seeing right through their fake act. They try playing the sweet and worried card, but he can feel the absolute malice they're hiding. Now watch this. Xiang just laughs and tells them he knows exactly where their men are hiding. They're stunned. No idea how he knew. He skips the talk and fires a warning shot. Jing and Wen Shuya can't believe he'd shoot. Shuya stays cold and tells Jing to keep it together. They're staring down a barrel, but Xiaoyang isn't going for a quick kill. That's just too easy for them. Suddenly, a corpse starts twitching and stands up. That rabid flu is officially bringing the dead back to life. Xiang, it's perfect. He wants these two to experience a much more brutal end from the zombies. Girls start sprinting, monsters chasing them. They're rushing to Shuang, who has zero clue yet. Then he sees the swarm. The women are falling apart, begging the fat man to save their lives. Shuang didn't expect the infected. He instantly bails and tells his men to retreat. He doesn't even look back at the women. But Jing, she refuses to go out like this. You saw that too, right? This snake throws her purse at her best friend, leaving her for the zombies. They tear into her instantly. As she's eaten alive, she curses Jing to die a horrible death. Jing just keeps running. In her twisted mind, she did exactly what she had to do to survive. Watching from the base, Xiaoyang racks up system points and gets a new mission to clear the area. Shan is shocked. She can't believe this infection is actually bringing people back from death. The apocalypse is officially here. Xiang warns her that more mutations are coming, and fast. He knows they all need to prepare, so he calls for an immediate emergency meeting. The group gathers to strategize. Xiang tells everyone to stay sharp and seal every single entrance tight. Bodies need time to handle the infection's source. If they adapt, the risk of mutating will drop. But Jiang Qi is terrified for his friend. Chen Shang is still down, and the infection is spreading. As the city turns into chaos, Jiang Xingjie tells his family to stay inside while he gets supplies. He gives them one final warning: don't open the door for anyone. Suddenly, a bang on the door. He grabs a golf club, ready to smash any monster entering, but when he sees it's only Yangta, he lets his guard down. Big mistake. Yang Tao didn't come alone. He brought a crew to jump his boss and kick him to the floor. Even after years of decent treatment, Yang Tao betrays him. He claims he was never treated well anyway. He felt humiliated and bossed around, despite Zhang Xingjie even paying for his new house. But that's nothing to a rich guy. Right now, he just wants the keys to the warehouse. The boss refuses, so Yang Tao turns his focus toward the defenseless family. Grabs the wife's hair while the boy screams. Yangta slaps the kid across the face. Junga roars in pure rage, but Yangta tells him they'll only stay safe if he cooperates now. They drag him back to the warehouse. He unlocks it, but Yang Tao finds the place nearly empty. The boss explains that Xiang already bought everything out, including all the expired food. Hearing that name gives Yangta an idea. Robbing Xiang could feed them for years, but the boss knows better. Trust me, you and I already know that messing with Xiaoyang is the last mistake they'll ever make. Stick with me, Xiaoyang might have known about the apocalypse way before it actually started. Yangta is too chicken to risk his own skin, so he blackmails his old boss by threatening his entire family. If he fails to bring back those supplies, his wife and kid are done for. It is a total nightmare scenario. Back inside the fortress, one of the crew is in bad shape. He is losing his mind and turning into a beast. The group is devastated seeing their friend like this, but Yuming suggests the unthinkable, putting him down. This makes Xiaoyang suspicious again. Jang Qi is shocked by the cold suggestion. But Yiming is not backing down on this one. He argues there is no point keeping a mindless monster alive. If that thing breaks loose, everyone is dead meat. Brutal, but he is right. It is a hard truth to swallow, but Xiaoyang agrees. There is no cure, and their friend is already long gone. Test the guy. Xiaoyang hands Yiming a blade. Yiming freezes for a second before realizing what is being asked. He wants him to kill the zombie. You can see Yiming shaking as he stares at the blade. Xiaoyang pushes him hard, reminding him he was the one asking for a weapon. If he believes in this, he should be the executioner. Before things get too dark, Jang Qi steps in and knocks the blade away. He knows that kind of weight stays with you forever. Xiaoyang warns him straight up, once you take a life, there is no going back from that. It is a heavy burden, but Jang Qi trusts Xiaoyang and stands his ground. Seeing that fire, Xiaoyang lets him proceed. Now watch this part carefully. Just as Jang Qi swings to end it, Xiaoyang suddenly grabs his arm and stops the blade. Even after the whole setup, he changes his mind. Turns out, Chen Chong is a special case, and he is not ready to die. He still has a use for him. The system flagged his mutation as super rare, and Xiaoyang wants to exploit that. Later, he checks on the infected man alone. At this point, Chen Chong is nothing but a bloodthirsty, snarling creature. Xiaoyang just walks right up to the beast, reminding him he still has work to do. Meanwhile, a car slams into a pole. It is the boss, and he is having such a trash day that he cannot even drive straight anymore. He is close enough to the base to walk, but then a zombie lunges out of nowhere and bites his arm. He kicks the monster off and dives back into the car for a pipe. He manages to crack the zombie's skull open. He keeps swinging until the head is a total mess, but he wasted too much time, and now a pack is closing in. Even injured, he limps toward the fortress. Meanwhile, Xiaoyang has his squad geared up and ready. They're all armed to clear the base. Shan Shan is really struggling with the bulky protective armor. It's annoying, but necessary. Xiaoyang explains that zombies can explode with insane speed, which is a death sentence for rookies without any combat experience. The suits can come off later. Outside, they pick their target. You and I are about to see if this training actually works. Xiaoyang signals as the zombie charges. As it sprints in, he shouts for everyone to stay in formation and keep their distance no matter what happens. He slips past the monster's claws like it is nothing, showing them how to counter. Aim for the temples or the back of the neck. The neck is the sweet spot. Surprisingly, Four Eyes gets brave and swings, but he just ends up hurting his own arm instead. Xiaoyang warns them that hitting the skull is useless. It is a rookie mistake that gives the zombie an opening, forcing Four Eyes to desperately block with his weapon. The creature is relentless, and he is shaking while screaming for help. Still, Xiaoyang is impressed that he at least held his ground. Suddenly, Jang Qi leaps in and goes straight for the zombie's throat. He nails the weak point, letting the rest of the crew swarm the monster. Xiaoyang reminds them to keep striking until the thing stays down. Jang Qi asks how they did, but Xiaoyang says they should already know the answer. Then another zombie blindsides him. Jang Qi screams a warning, but Xiaoyang spins and catches the thing by its head mid-air. With zero fear, he turns this into a lesson: always be aware of your surroundings. The team is stunned by his reflexes. Now, let's check on the boss. He's regretting his life choices when he spots cars outside the fortress. He wonders if someone else beat him to it, but then he hears voices nearby. He recognizes Xiaoyang's tone and creeps closer to get a better look. Hiding behind a car, he stares in shock. The team is dropping zombies with total ease. What he misses is Shuya's zombie body crawling out from under the car. She grabs his leg and yanks him down hard. Boss accepts his fate as she lunges. But trust me, you and I just saw a miracle. Her head completely explodes. All right, you and I are about to dive into a massive showdown in this zombie apocalypse. Xiaoyang saves the day just in time. Boss tries to talk, but the main character notices a nasty bite mark right on the man's arm. Leveling his gun, Xiaoyang tells him it's game over. The boss begs for one last chance before the trigger is pulled. He agrees to listen but stays back. Even the boss realizes there's no coming back from a bite like that. Turning is inevitable, but he's desperate to make sure his family doesn't suffer the same fate he's facing. He reveals that Yang Tao attacked them and is holding everyone hostage to steal Xiaoyang's supplies. He's been a bad guy, but Yang Tao is on a whole different level of evil right now. His family hasn't done anything wrong, and he knows Yang Tao won't leave survivors. He begs Xiaoyang for help. Our main character is torn. He knows Zhang Shangji is a greedy snake, but the guy did deliver those supplies. Plus, his base has way too many guys right now. Saving that family would actually help balance things out perfectly. The deal is sealed when the system offers a mission to protect them for 25 points. Easy choice. Since he still needs to clear the undead around the base, he officially agrees to keep the family safe. Now watch carefully. This is the exact moment his destiny completely changes as Zhang Shani drops in pure gratitude. Knowing the change is coming, the boss refuses to die like a coward. Xiaoyang tells Shan to grab a bike. She's confused, but follows orders. Xiaoyang tells the boss to get far away where no one can ever find him again. Keeps it brief, but explains it's his only move before the infection takes his mind over completely. The boss accepts his fate and says thanks one last time. Soon, Jang Xiaoyang is riding off into the distance. As he turns, his final thoughts are of his family. Behind him, Xiaoyang stares at the mountain of dead zombies, douses the pile in gasoline and watches it burn. Their brutal training session is finally over. He's confident the team can handle single zombies now, but a full-blown horde, they're definitely not ready for that yet. That kind of power takes time. He leads the crew to a different storage room to get everyone settled in. Our boy puts the old man on guard duty while he prepares to head back into the ruined city. Grandpa is terrified because the city is a death trap. The others offer to come, but Xiaoyang shuts them down. Their skill level is way too low for this mission. They need to stay back and protect the fortress instead. Moments later, he's in his car and ready for war. For once, the system store is totally wiped clean. Even the refresh takes a while. He decides to drop some serious points to refresh the entire loot list. Brand new boxes appear that he's never seen before. Black tech, life-saving gear, and high-level weapon boxes. Cost doubles every time he refreshes, so he has to be smart. Still, these new boxes are worth the price. He starts by picking up the black tech supply box, leaving himself with only 6 points. Opening it reveals a physical enhancement potion that grants 5 points. That's a massive upgrade compared to the old ones. You and I both know what happens next. Superhuman strength? Yeah, he's basically a cheat code now. His real goal is the boss's house. Inside, the wife and kid are terrified, praying for their protector to return. Suddenly, Yang Tao and his thugs burst into the room. The poor woman asks what they want with them. One creep moves in, saying they're going to have some fun while her husband is away on his mission. She fights back, screaming for them to stop. The thugs start getting aggressive as her son tries to help her. Right then, the guy with the ponytail walks in and asks what the hell they think they're doing. Goon tells him to join the party, but Lee shuts that down immediately. They have a job to finish first. Thug complains since they've done this before, but Lee reminds him this is the boss's own family. If she dies now, Jang Xiaoyang won't have anything to lose, and he'll come back for every single one of them. Lee says they can play with her once the husband is taken care of. The thugs grumble, but finally leave. They head out, but one goon leaves a disgusting warning. The mother and son can only hold each other. Night falls and the dead start taking over the streets. Driving through the ruins, Xiaoyang reflects on his progress. 13 points in stamina, he's twice as strong as a normal man, with reaction speeds that are totally unreal. He drifts through the blocked streets, feeling the rush of power as he speeds toward the city's center. The area is crawling with zombies, so he decides to go on foot to avoid making too much noise. As he hears roars, he sees 2 zombies charging. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Stick with me because our main character is about to turn these zombies into ragdolls. He summons his blade and lunges back in. One clean sweep and both heads hit the floor. They are just training dummies now. Even he is shocked by how easily he is crushing them. He is twice as strong as any normal human. Plus, his hearing is so sharp he can track his target 800 meters away. Nearby, a pack of zombies is bashing against a grocery store door. Inside, the survivors pile up heavy gear, hoping the entrance holds. As they look for an exit, a terrified kid asks his dad if they are going to die. The man tries to calm him down by saying that if they die, they will just be reunited with his mother. That really doesn't help, and the kid cries harder. The officer gets annoyed by such a brainless thing to say. But wait, pay attention here. The father snaps back at the officer, and just as everyone starts losing hope, gunshots suddenly ring out through the air. The zombie's head literally explodes at the door. The kid drops in shock while his dad just stands there confused. The officer tells them to move the barricade and check outside, but keep it quiet. They peek out, every single zombie is already dead, so they cautiously step into the street. The kid screams about a mutant zombie. He explains it is probably faster and stronger, just like in his favorite video games. His dad snaps at him, furious that he is still thinking about games during the apocalypse. He blames the games for the kid's bad grades, but the officer tells them both to shut it. Grades don't matter now. He orders them to stay alert as they slowly move toward their base. They reach a fork in the road and stop. Old Song looks across and sees a young man standing there. It is Xiaoyang, and he is busy using his system to boost his stats and add points. The kid yells that it is a mutant, but the officer realizes this guy is clearly a human survivor. Xiaoyang just laughs it off and tells the kid he has a wild imagination. Relieved it is a human, the officer walks over and says it is way too dangerous to be alone out here. He invites Xiaoyang to join them. Our hero asks who they are and why they are out in the open. The officer explains they are hunting for supplies and many people are still hiding at Rangzang Garden. Hearing that, Xiaoyang remembers Junie Mansion is nearby. Old Song points across the street and urges him to come along since there is safety in numbers. Now, you and I know how strong he is, but these guys think they're the ones protecting him. He simply agrees and they move out. Old Song asks if he is heading to the mansion for someone special. He says yes. Old asks if it's family or a girl. Then he warns him to expect the worst because in this world, that person might already be gone. Officer Lee agrees, saying survivors also have to worry about human beasts. Xiaoyang gets curious. Lee explains a gang of thugs is hiding out in the eastern mountain villa area. They prey on other survivors for supplies, and the officers' group has already lost many people to them. He tells everyone to stay cautious around strangers. Suddenly, the kid yells for the officer to watch out. Officer Lee spins around to see a zombie lunging and drops it with a few quick shots. He is shaking from the close call, but the noise of his gun is already attracting a crowd. They spot an abandoned bus and sprint for it, while Xiaoyang just smiles. Running blindly is a death sentence, but a bus actually makes for a decent temporary fort. If it fails, they're trapped. He gives the plan a 70. They scramble onto the bus, and Officer Lee slams the door shut right behind our main character. He tells them to check the seats for zombies, but the kid screams they are already surrounded. Lee grits his teeth. They were fast, but the horde was faster. Zombies start slamming against the metal, trying to force their way inside as the officer struggles with the door. Then Xiaoyang steps up. He slams the door shut so hard it sends the zombies flying backwards. And trust me, you and I haven't seen anything yet. Right, you and I are about to see Jang Xiaoyang step up as the tactical lead. He decides to hold the door shut while the others fight through the windows, and surprisingly, Officer Lee puts his full trust in Jang Xiaoyang. They start smashing out the bus windows immediately. Old Song hammers every zombie head that tries to climb inside while the team anchors his legs so he does not take a tumble out into the horde. Officer Lee is playing it smart, saving his limited ammo for a life or death situation instead of blasting away. Out of nowhere, Jang Xia hands a crossbow to the officer. Lee is totally baffled about where he found it, but Jang just shrugs and says he picked it up earlier. With new firepower in hand, Old Song and Officer Lee go to work, clearing out the undead with brute force. After a brutal skirmish, they finally wipe the floor with those monsters and exit the bus. Young Brat starts acting like he is the chosen one, claiming fate saved them. Jing quickly shuts that down, warning everyone to stay sharp and avoid any more stupid mistakes. Meanwhile, at the fort, the group is praying for Jang Xiaoyang's safety. As night falls, Lu Yiming volunteers for guard duty. When the guy with glasses questions his sudden motivation, Lu Yiming snaps, telling him to shut up because he is always serious about his job. The big guy gets shut down instantly and wonders why Lu Ying is being such a jerk over a joke. Uncle Shang steps in and tells everyone to get some sleep since Lu Yiming has the watch covered. He tells Lu Ying to sound the alarm if anything moves. As the hours pass, Lu Ying sits in the silence, waiting for everyone to fall into a deep sleep. Now, stick with me, because his real plan is about to go into motion before Jang returns. The old man is out cold, totally unaware that the weapons room key is sitting right by his pillow. He does not hear Lu Yiming creeping into the room like a ghost, but just as Lu reaches for the key, the old man's eyes snap open, catching him red-handed in the dark. He demands to know what the hell Lu Yiming thinks he is doing. Before he can even react, Lu Yiming decks him right in the face. He snatches the key and bolts out while the old man screams for him to stop. The noise wakes everyone up as the old man shouts that Lu Yiming stole the weapon keys. They all chase after the bastard, but the bastard starts throwing junk in the hallway to slow them down. You and I saw that too, right? They all just stop and stare at the pile of junk like video game characters being blocked by an invisible wall instead of simply jumping over. On his way out, Lu Yiming spots the nursery and decides to double down on his betrayal. He enters the room where zombie Chen Chong is restrained. As Lu Ying gets close, the zombie suddenly lashes out with a hand that is somehow free. Lu Yiming is shocked because those straps were supposed to be tight. He figures they must have been loose from the start. It actually makes him happy because now he does not have to waste time untying the monster himself. Meanwhile, the rest of the group finally clears the obstacles, only to find a total disaster waiting. They are livid that Lu Yiming would actually free Chen Chong. The old man regrets ever trusting that snake Lu Ying, but Shan Shan says they have no time for regrets. Since they cannot get to the guns, they have to force the zombie back into the room first. Uncle Shang tells them to use the strategy Jang Xiaoyang taught them. Stay careful and avoid the teeth. With their guard up, they surround the zombie. Zhang Shi grabs its neck while the others pin down its flailing arms. The old man takes charge, pointing toward the infirmary and yelling for them to drag the beast back inside. On the count of 3, they shove the zombie back into the room and lock the door as tight as possible. Once the door is secure, they realize taking down the zombie was actually pretty easy with teamwork. The old man reminds them they wasted too much time and that punk probably already reached the weapon stash. Suddenly, Li Yuming appears, mocking them while holding a loaded gun. He is annoyed he only found one pistol, but says one bullet is all he needs to end them all right now. Luing aims the weapon and barks orders for everyone to get back into the room. Jang tries to reason with him, reminding him that Jang Xiaoyang is the only reason they are alive. Luing just scoffs, saying Jang acts way too superior and that they do not owe him their lives forever. The old man calls him a gutless punk. Inside the room, Chen Chong looks like he is ready to join the party. The scene shifts back to Rang, where Officer Li is carefully going over the map to Jinyu Mansion. He warns him that the layout is a total maze, making it a perfect hunting ground for zombies. He tells Jang Xiaoyang to make it back to Rangjiang Garden once he finds his people, reminding him the side gate is way safer than the main entrance. Nang gives his thanks and promises to keep those directions in mind. As Jen prepares to leave, Old Song offers to back him up, but Officer Li stops him because of the unknown dangers inside Jinyu Mansion. You and I have to wonder why they are letting Jang walk into that massive horde alone. Let's dive into a world where mercy is dead and survival is all that matters. Li warns Jang his time is up. Outside, the place is crawling with zombies. Inside, the thugs holding a family hostage are losing their cool because the father hasn't returned. One trashy dude is done waiting for his prize. He's decided to target the wife tonight. These idiots don't even realize they're waiting for a man who's already dead. They figure the father probably died out there alone. Their plan? Enjoy the woman, then tie her up so she can't even take her own life. Time is running out, so they decide to start their sick fun right this second. It's absolutely disgusting. Woman trembles as their vile plan unfolds. Ponytail gives the green light, telling them to be careful not to break their toy just yet. Suddenly, Ponytail sees something weird through the window. Every single zombie outside just dropped dead. He has no clue why, but he thinks it's a rescue team. He heads out to investigate like an idiot. But the second he steps outside, his role in this story is over. Now watch closely. Justice comes fast. A dagger flashes, his throat is ripped open, and his head hits the dirt. Inside, the others wait for him. They start undoing their belts, laughing while they rip the son away from his mother. When she screams, they hit her hard. They toss the kid aside, but he fights back with everything he has. They just kick him out and slam the door shut. Right then, Ponytail's headless body thuds onto the floor. The kid just freezes in absolute shock. Then a figure appears in the doorway. It's our main character, Jang Xiaoyang. He looks at the boy and asks if Zhang Shengi is his dad. The kid can barely speak. Inside, the thugs are already tearing at the mother's clothes while she desperately tries to fight back. One smug bastard slaps her again, telling her to scream louder while they harass her. She stays silent, protecting her son from the sound. The lead thug decides he'll go first, then the others can have their turn. Boom! The door flies open. They think the kid did it, but before anyone can react, a blade slices one thug's head clean off. His friend is so clueless, he asks why he's just standing there. He's yelling to kick the brat out, not realizing his buddy is headless. A second later, the body collapses. Finally, the rest of them start to panic. They're still confused when Xiaoyang lunges forward, grabbing one guy and slamming him into the wall with bone-breaking force. The thug, still fumbling with his belt, stammers and asks who the hell this is. Xiaoyang doesn't say a word, just delivers a brutal kick to the face, ending him instantly. Back at the fort, things are getting just as tense. Li Yuming has his gun out, threatening everyone to move. The old man tells the group to just listen and head into the room. Shan Shan tries to refuse, but the old man insists they'll find a way. Yuming just grins. There's no way out. He warns them they haven't seen his dark side yet. He decides to start with the old man just for talking too much. People try to calm him down, but suddenly, a strange sound cuts through the air. Something is finally happening. The infirmary lock turns and the door swings open. Everyone is stunned as Chen Chong walks out. He actually found the key. You and I saw that coming, right? He unlocked it himself while berserk. Now, one thing is totally obvious. Chen Chong is staring at Li Yuming, with nothing but pure killing intent. Yuming panics and aims his gun, desperate to stop the beast. He pulls the trigger. Click! The gun jams. In that split second, he knows he's a dead man. The monster pounces, ripping him to shreds and ending his reign of terror. But Chen Chong isn't done with the body yet. He drags the corpse back toward the infirmary. Everyone else just watches in frozen silence, unable to process the horror. And he grabs the key, tosses it away, and locks himself back inside, leaving everyone absolutely speechless at what they just saw. Meanwhile, Xiaoyang finishes the job with the thugs and unties the mother. He calls the little boy over to him. Mother pulls her son close, terrified of what this stranger wants. Xiaoyang doesn't explain. He just tells the boy to step forward. The kid looks into his eyes and decides to trust him, telling his mom that it's going to be okay. Xiaoyang hands him a dagger and gives a cold order: kill the men who hurt your family. The thugs realize their fate and start begging. The mother screams that he's just a child, but Xiaoyang looks her in the eye and says he isn't anymore. To protect his mother, he needs to find his courage now and kill the monsters who tried to destroy her. The filthy, smiling faces of the thugs flash through the boy's mind. With all his fear turned into pure rage, he rushes forward and ends them. The mother watches in horror while her son is swallowed by violence. Even after the revenge, his father isn't coming back. Broken, the boy asks our main character if his dad is really dead. Xiaoyang says yes. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, this story is only getting darker. Stick with me. You and I are about to watch a kid desperately hug his mother while she begs Jang to take the boy instead. He refuses to leave her side. Jang tells both of them it is time to come with him. He promised Jang Xiaoyang he would keep them safe, so the mother and son finally decide to follow his lead. Shui shakes seeing the bodies, terrified of the monster who did this. Jang just calmly admits he is the one who killed them. Shui and his mother Xiaoli. Suddenly, Jang hears something nearby and signals them to freeze right where they are. He asks Xiaoli to point out where Building 8 is inside the Banyan Garden complex. He points ahead, wondering why he cares. Cut to Building 8, where a pack of scavengers is outside demanding all their supplies. Inside, the survivors are hiding in their rooms, fighting over whether they should just give up. Officer Lee kills that idea fast. He knows these thugs are animals who will murder everyone and keep only the women. Outside, the gang gives them exactly 10 minutes to cooperate. One woman considers going out to beg for mercy, but another refuses to become a toy for those men. Then, Gorilla steps in and tells the group not to worry about a thing. They're not giving up. As long as they hold the hallway, the looters stay out. Outside, the boss feels pretty cocky about their weapons, but his lackey warns him they are still too weak to just smash their way inside. Everyone is hiding and the leader is armed, but the boss says there is no need to rush. He orders the water cut off to starve them out. Meanwhile, Jang Xiaoyang is watching the whole thing from the shadows. Shui whispers to ask if those are villains, and Jen tells him yes. It is funny because the kid asking that just finished killing 3 grown men, yet he still sounds totally innocent. Jen reminds him these are the same kind of monsters who hurt his mother. Meanwhile, Officer Lee tells everyone to guard the stairs while he goes to check on the situation downstairs. He peeks out the window and spots 7 guys in total, with 3 of them carrying guns. Suddenly, a loud shot rings out, shocking Officer Lee. Everyone else in the building is just as confused. Now here is the part where it gets wild. Watch closely as Jang Xiaoyang opens fire on the gang and drops a guy instantly. Lee sees Jang advancing with his gun out. He fires again, and another thug takes a clean bullet right to the head. The gang finally spots him and starts spraying bullets with their pistols. But Janang just keeps walking like it is nothing. None of the bullets even graze him. Seeing how terrible their aim is only makes him smirk. He targets the boss hiding behind concrete, but the shots just chip away at the heavy block. Annoyed, the boss tells his men to keep shooting while Jang is distracted. One lackey stands up to take the shot himself. Jang instantly shifts his aim and blows the man's head off. Behind that concrete block, the leader sneers, thinking Jang must be out of bullets by now. He levels his gun at Jang, but our hero just stares back with ice in his eyes. Thug fires, but Jang just tilts his head to dodge. He grabs the guy's arm, twists it, and jams the gun under his chin. He pulls the trigger and sends a bullet through the thug's skull. Just like that, the entire squad is totally wiped out. Jang loots the leader's body for anything good, then heads inside where a few gang members are still hanging around. Remaining thugs charge at him in a total panic, but Jang does not even blink. He stands his ground and 3 quick shots drop them all. Shui is in awe, totally impressed by Jang after seeing that fight. And you and I both know what is coming next. A system mission pops up to recruit survivors from Rangxiang for a reward. Jang asks who those guys were, and Officer Lee explains they are from the Bikishan villas south of the city. He calls over 2 young guys in yellow jackets, Lucia and Chenny, telling them to explain the Bikishan situation to Brother Yang since they just arrived from the south. They say the place is run by a gang with heavy weapons and supplies. They have rounded up almost every survivor in the southern area. This makes Jang pause. He wonders if Bikushan is where Lucien and Kui Jing built their massive settlements in his past life. He asks if this is the only settlement left now. One man explains it was not always like this, but the gang has guns and the weaker shelters could not fight back. Every time they conquered, they would kill half the people and take the young, pretty women along with anyone willing to join. Jang Xiaoyang is now certain who is behind this. Officer Lee notices his confidence and asks what he means. Jang points out the 3 dead men all had handguns. He tells them to keep those guns and hunt for spare mags, because there are definitely more of those thugs out there. That is where we leave it. You and I will see what happens next. All right, stick with me, because Jang is about to start an all-out war with the Bikishan gang. He gives his crew some heavy firepower and tells them to hold tight while he regroups at base. He promises to come back and crush those thugs. One of the guys is totally stunned, asking if Jang really thinks he can take on the entire Bikishan squad alone. He warns that the gang has dozens of killers ready to go. Officer Lee tries to talk some sense into him, suggesting they just hide, but Jang isn't having any of it. He's already got a serious personal grudge to settle with those Baquishian lowlifes. Jang plans to return in a few days with a massive truck to move everyone toward Old Telif City. He's building a fortress and needs all the help he can get. With a quick wave, Jang says his goodbyes and tells them to keep their heads down. He rolls out with Xiaoli and Shuai, but the scene suddenly shifts to a grim mansion surrounded by corpses. A lone guard is standing watch over the carnage. This is the Baquishian hideout. Inside, the gang bosses are gathering for a high-stakes meeting. The orange-haired boss, Gay, is fuming because the loot at Jin Yu Entertainment Center still hasn't been locked down by his men. Xiaoli, the big guy, claims he sent a squad out already and they should be back. He has no clue they've all been wiped out. Kai warns him that the area around Jinu Mansion is full of powerful players, so grabbing those supplies is going to be a total nightmare. Xiaoli just shrugs, saying his men were ordered to drag back any survivors. Now watch this, the boss snaps and starts blasting Xiaoli for being totally useless. Under pressure, Xiaoli panics and promises to fix it, while Kaidage just enjoys the drama. Once he steps outside, one of his lackeys sees his mood and asks what's up. Xiaoli immediately snaps back, demanding to know if the 7 guys he sent out have returned yet. The lackey drops the bad news: the whole squad is dead. Xiaoli is floored. He can't believe regular survivors from Rangshan Garden could take down his armed killers. In a total panic, he orders Taozi to round up every single person who knows how to shoot. He can't screw up again. Meanwhile, Jang Xiaoyang finally makes it back to the safety of base. Shan hears the engine and knows instantly that Brother Yang is home. As Jang pulls in, the system pops up a mission complete notification for him. She gives him a warm welcome, but Jang's eyes go straight to the crowd. Lu Yiming is missing. This confirms the guy was a total snake. Everyone else is shocked that Jang had his eye on him the whole time. He tells the crew to lock up Xiaoli and Shuai, then meet him over at the infirmary for a debrief. Alone now, Jang reveals he knew Lu Yiming had bad intentions from the very first second they met. He wasn't 100% sure, but he knew one of Jang Qi's friends was a rat. Then he tosses a massive gun over to Jang Qi. The guy catches it and realizes the ammo is rubber. It was a test all along. The old man asks about Chen Chong in the back. Jang explains that Chen Chong isn't just some zombie. He's a rare mutant, something Jang confirmed earlier. He actually told the zombie to blink 3 times, and to everyone's shock, Chen Chong actually followed the order. Jang explains that survivors infected by otherworldly energy have a tiny chance of turning into these super rare intelligent mutants. They're way smarter than normal zombies and keep their old memories, giving them massive potential for the future. You and I need to watch this part carefully. Jang opens the door and finds Chen Chong standing right over the traitor. Zombie gives Jang a quick wave, and Jang tells him to stop holding back and finish the job. As the mutant drags the snake away, Jang Qi asks if his old friend still remembers him. Chen Chong slows down and looks at him. No one knows what he's thinking until he suddenly swings, barely missing his old friend. Turns out he was just trolling his old buddy, proving that even as a zombie, he's still got a sense of humor. Later, Jang checks his system. Jang Qi unlocked a hidden achievement called Mutual Companion, which adds a huge point boost to his total. Feeling lucky, Jang decides to browse the shop to see if there's anything broken he can buy. He finds a level 2 high-tech supply box he's never seen, but it costs 50 points, making him hesitate for a second. He decides to open his remaining 2 boxes instead. Both of them drop some absolutely insane rewards for him. The Lifesaver box gives him an interdimensional infection blocker. It can stop the infection from taking over, though it can't fix a full turn. Then, the other box drops a massive Barrett M82 sniper rifle. Jang is absolutely blown away by his luck today. Pulling a Barrett from a level 1 box is unreal, and that blocker could literally save someone from turning into a mindless monster. The loot makes him want that level 2 box even more, but he stays focused on tomorrow's mission, recruiting more survivors from the city. Outside, Chen Chong tosses the traitor out of the fort. There's no room for snakes here. By morning, the whole crew gathers up, and that's where we leave it. You and I watch as Jang announces that from now on, alright, you and I are about to see exactly how this crew levels up their survival game today. Everyone is putting in work, sniping bottles that explode with light on impact. Jang tells Uncle Shang to have Jang-gi clear out more rooms because the mission to bring back survivors starts today. Uncle Shang nods immediately. Chen Chong joins the squad since his mutant strength is a huge asset. Soon, they find an abandoned bus swarming with zombies. Jang clears them out while Chen Chong helps by tossing the bodies off the bus. Once the bus is clean, Jang hands Chen Chong the keys and lets him breathe without his mask for a bit, but he warns him to cover back up in Rang so he doesn't freak out the survivors. The mutant just growls in response. Meanwhile, over at Bit Mountain, Xiaoli is gathering his lackeys to head toward the garden. He's leading the charge personally this time, determined to crush the garden and everyone inside it. With so many men and weapons, he's sure of victory. Their trucks roar to life and speed toward the garden. After hijacking that zombie bus, Jang Xiaoyang takes the wheel and floors it. When a wall of zombies blocks his path, he doesn't even tap the brakes, he just plows right through the mob. Thanks to his boosted reflexes, he drifts the heavy bus around the wrecked cars littering the highway. Over in Rang, things look quiet from the outside. Inside, Officer Lee and the group are rationing their food, trying to stay alive. Their quiet meal is suddenly cut short by a loud engine. The kids hope it's Brother Xiaoyang coming to save them, but Officer Lee isn't taking any chances. He grabs his AK-47 and tells everyone to stay silent while he investigates. Now, pay attention. Lee looks out, and this is not a rescue. It's a squad of thugs looking for blood, searching for Building 8. Once they find it, Liu Shang orders his crew to move in. Lee is tense. Just when escape was close, the Bit Mountain bastards showed up. Old Song raises his pistol, ready to fight. Having guns makes the survivors feel a lot bolder. He tells them to stay sharp. The enemy has the numbers and the firepower, so they have to stick to the plan exactly. He heads to the rooftop to set up a deadly ambush. Outside, the thugs get into position. Led by Lewin, they raise their guns and aim directly at the windows of Building 8, ready to unleash hell. Old Song sees them and yells for everyone to get down and take cover. Suddenly, a hail of bullets tears into the building. Glass shatters everywhere, forcing Old Song to scramble back for his life. After the first volley, Shuang grabs a megaphone and tells his men to keep their eyes on the windows and shoot anything that moves. He starts taunting the survivors through the mic, sounding completely arrogant. Okay, watch this. Before he can finish, his buddy takes a bullet to the head. Gang freezes. They didn't expect snipers. A second thug drops after a clean shot. Up on the roof, the AK-47 keeps barking while the thugs run for cover. Officer Lee has the perfect high ground. Bit Mountain didn't expect an automatic weapon. Zuin curses their terrible intel. He was told they only had one pistol, and even with the stolen guns, they shouldn't have this. Terrified thugs look to their boss, praying they won't be the next ones picked off. His order is simple retreat, but the panicking idiots just bolt out one by one instead of moving together like a squad. Running into the open against a pro shooter is suicide, and the cop on the roof doesn't miss a beat. Shuin screams at his men for being stupid and starts a countdown. 3, the survivors of his squad run for their lives. While his men panic, Boss Lee hides behind cover like a coward. Shooter adjusts his aim, dropping the retreating thugs one after another with ruthless precision. Boss Lee planned this from the start, use his own men as target practice until the sniper reloads, then bolt. It's a total scumbag move. When the sniper finally reloads, Zhuang makes his break and reaches the getaway car. Only 4 of them are left. The last thug is a few seconds too slow. Liu Shang is already behind the wheel and floors it, leaving him behind while Catboy takes a bullet to the brain. The 2 who made it into the truck stay low, absolutely terrified. Back on the road, Jang Xiaoyang is still pushing that hijacked bus through the highway wreckage. He's calm, focused on reaching the survivors in time. And that's where we leave it for now. Jang's staying on mission, but trust me, you and I both know things are about to get even wilder. Alright, let's dive into a world where points are life and survival is everything. He pulls up at Building 8. Chen Chong and Xiao Yang step off the bus, greeted by the bloody mess of a massive showdown. Xiao Yang is relieved his left-behind rifle did its job, guessing those fleeing raiders were the ones in that car. Chen Chong stares at the bullet-filled corpses, his stomach growling like a beast. Xiao Yang just smirks, asking if he is hungry before giving him the green light to feast. Might as well let Chen Chong eat instead of the random local zombies. The moment he gets the okay, Chen Chong looks like a happy kid in a candy shop. Xiao Yang lets him loose, only ordering him to meet back at Building 8 later. Chen Chong wastes 0 time, immediately sinking his teeth into the first thug he finds. He devours the gore, and the second he swallows, a massive surge of power rushes through his entire body. Meanwhile, Xiao Yang walks through the carnage, impressed by how cleanly Li Honglei took these guys out. Man, the guy is absolutely ruthless. Hearing footsteps, a kid peeks through a shattered window and lights up once he spots Xiao Yang approaching. Realizing it is actually him, the rest of the survivors come out from hiding and wave him over. Following the super cop, the survivors pack up their gear and head downstairs, while Big Bro Li thanks Xiao Yang for that life-saving rifle. Turns out, he was an elite marksman before retiring, but their reunion is cut short by a terrifying roar and heavy thuds. Everyone freezes when they see what is coming. Stick with me, this part gets pretty tense as Chen Chong limps closer. Big Broly snaps into action, grabbing his AK and aiming it straight at the approaching zombie. Xiao Yang calmly pushes the rifle down and tells everyone to just relax. This guy is with them, though nobody there really believes his words. And really, can you blame them? Xiao Yang just points Chen Chong toward the dead thugs and tells him to finish his meal. Big Broly is totally spooked, asking if Xiao Yang can actually talk to these brain eaters or what. Xiao Yang explains that Chen Chong is not your average zombie. It is a long story, so he tells everyone to board the bus while they talk. While heading over, Xiaoyang reminds Chen Chong to wrap up his feast and get back here fast. Chen Chong flashes an okay sign without even pausing his disgusting, bloody lunch. After devouring every last thug, Chen Chong picks up his mask and straps it back on while the survivors stare in shock. Kid is baffled, wondering how a zombie could be smart enough to put on its own mask like that. Xiaoyang warns him not to call it a muzzle unless he wants to get smacked. Honestly though, the kid is starting to think this mutant is cool. After finishing his solo feast, Chen Chong hops onto the bus just like a regular passenger. Having eaten 6 people, he's way heavier now. The entire bus actually tilts to one side when he steps inside. This time, Chen Chong actually slurs out a word while handing the mask key back to Xiaoyang. Even Xiaoyang is shocked. You and I saw him eat those 6 bodies, and now he is already starting to evolve and speak. Either way, Xiaoyang is focused on getting everyone home safe and making their settlement much stronger. He jumps into the driver's seat, tells everyone to buckle up, and guns it. Back at the mountain base, Liu Qiang reports the failed raid and gets absolutely destroyed for it. He tries to blame bad intel, claiming nobody mentioned the survivors were packed with automatic rifles. Boss Lin is not buying it. There is no way a small-town cop has military gear, so the whole story sounds like a lie. Still, Liu Qiang insists they check the battlefield themselves if they think he's making it up. Boss's right-hand man loses his cool and kicks the guy right onto the floor. That is the sign for him to bail. This guy has been fed up with his stupidity and uselessness for a while now. Now that he has cost them so many lives, just killing him seems like the easier option. Another leader, Boss Shu, calls out the real truth. The guy has just been eyeing Su Shang's woman this whole time. Creep even suggests they share her like loot. Boss Lin likes the idea, but says they should wait for the perfect moment. What these thugs do not know is that Li Su-shang never left. He was listening from the doorway the entire time. He grinds his teeth in rage, knowing he needs an exit strategy. Hours later, he is back at his mansion, losing his mind. Furious over his failure, he trashes the room until his girl comes out to try and calm him down. Instead, he tells her to start packing because they are leaving immediately. She asks where to, but he has no real answer. He just knows it is not safe anymore. Boss Li calls for his assistant, Qingzi, who rushes into the room. He orders Qingzi to gather the remaining crew because they are heading out at midnight. The girl knows things are falling apart, but trust me, you and I need to see what happens when Xiaoyang returns to the base. Alright, you and I are watching as the survivors stare at the massive size of the fortress. With the rescue mission complete, everyone is safe. He was only looking for 5 people, but he brought back 8. That earned him 25 points plus a 5-point bonus, bringing his total up to 66. Xiaoyang tells his zombie partner they have a new plan tomorrow night. They are heading to the southern district. Liu Shang asks what is down south, and Xiaoyang admits that he has some unfinished business at the Bichu Mountain Villa. That night, he locks himself in to check out the level 2 high-tech supply crate. It costs 50 points, and he can finally afford it. He taps it quickly, eager to see what kind of loot his first level 2 crate holds. After the purchase, his points drop all the way down to 16. Twirling lights fill the room as Xiaoyang prays this expensive crate is worth it. He gets lucky it's a high-level physical enhancement serum. This massive syringe holds a drug that can boost his physical stats by 20 points. He injects it immediately. No hesitation, even though the pain is way worse than he expected. Watch closely, because his stats just hit 33. That's over 6 times the strength of a normal man plus sharper senses. He hears a mosquito buzzing and actually snatches it right out of the air by its tiny stinger. These insane reflexes are going to be a game changer in battle. He lets the bug go, feeling totally satisfied with his new reward. By sunset, he is out on patrol with Brother Chong. In the yard, he spots Li Honglei leading sniper practice. After that, Xiaoyang starts heading toward the south side of town. Before leaving, he tells the old cop to lead firearms training since he is easily their best marksman. Old Li is happy to help out. With that settled, Xiaoyang and a limping Brother Chong head straight for the bus. The bus speeds off while trouble starts brewing inside the enemy camp. Liu Shang ordered his men to run, sensing danger, but his escape plan wasn't nearly as smart as he thought. Bosses from the villa arrive to block his exits. Inside the lead car, the top dogs and one very familiar face. With a mocking grin and a gun ready, Boss Shu asks Boss Lei where he's going so late. Boss Lei lies, saying he is taking his men to Rangjiang Garden to finish the job under cover of darkness. Usually, that fast talking would work, but he's not getting away with it this time. One of his men was already caught and snitched. Boss Lei's group instantly recognizes the dead body of their comrade. I know what you're thinking, Boss Lei's acting is terrible as he scratches his head and plays dumb. Boss Shu is tired of the lies and orders his men to open fire on the entire group. Boss Lei shakes as his men are cut down. Even then, he keeps pretending he has no idea what's happening. Boss Shu knows how to break him. He points to the passenger seat, and one look tells Liu Shang it's all over. Li Jing betrayed him too, just like she always does when someone more powerful shows up. Boss Kai is fed up. Liu Shang is still playing stupid, even though Qiu Jing already exposed his whole plan. He should have seen it coming. After all, she ruined Xiaoyang's life before moving on to him. Finally, Boss Kai looks to Boss Jiang for the final call. Jiang gives a silent, calm signal to execute Liu Shang. He chose a brutal way to do it. A noose goes around his neck as their strongest man pulls until Liu Shang finally stops fighting forever. It was a slow, agonizing death. When the life finally leaves him, they hang him at his own gates. Later, a bright blue bus stops nearby. Xiaoyang and Brother Chong move in on foot, but realize at the entrance they are way too late. They wanted to kill the bastard, but someone got there first. Xiaoyang hates that he didn't do it himself. He picks up a stone and hurls it at the rope, cutting the body down with one throw. Seeing this scumbag's end makes Xiaoyang hungrier for revenge. Meanwhile, back at the villa, some seriously ugly sounds come from the top floor. Qiu Jing thought she could switch sides and live the good life with these high-level criminals. She was dead wrong. Her betrayal dropped her straight into the hands of literal monsters who see her as a tool. The two sick bosses are using her for sport. They are vile, but justice is finally closing in. Boss Kai looks out the window and freezes. His guards are all dead. Suddenly, a loud knock hits the door. And that's where we leave it, as the real attacker bursts through the window, knife ready. Xiaoyang looks like death itself. Let's dive in as Xiaoyang presses a blade to Boss Kai's neck to finish him. Without another word, our main character slits his throat and leaves Kai gasping for air. Boss Jiang was absolutely stunned. 1 second, he was focused on Qiu Jing, and the next, his partner was dead on the cold floor. Qiu Jing recognizes Jang Xiaoyang immediately. Xiaoyang wastes zero time and flings a knife right at the naked bastard. Boss Jiang dies with his neck ripped wide open. The moment he hits the ground, Qiu Jing lets out a horrified scream. She is not stupid enough to think Xiaoyang is here to save her. Seeing him only makes her even more terrified. Xiaoyang gives her a mocking look and heads for the door. He wonders what Luan would think seeing her like this. Now pay attention, because the moment that door opens, a mutated beast that used to be a man walks in. He lunges for Qi's neck and starts tearing into her soft flesh. Bite after bite, she begs for help, but nobody answers. With his revenge finally complete, Jang Xiaoyang shuts the door on the traitors who killed him before. Outside, he talks with Brother Chong about getting rid of those messy bodies. Dead guards are a perfect meal for his mutant partner, but Brother Chong is still full from his earlier snack. Still, one body eaten is better than nothing. While Brother Chong eats, Xiaoyang's enhanced hearing picks up a strange noise. In a building near Bichu Mountain Villa, a group of terrified survivors is being held captive. Alright, you and I are about to watch a nightmare where thugs pick children as their next meal. Absolutely disgusting. She was too thin for them. Instead, the chef eyes a chubby kid clinging to his terrified mother. He drags the boy away while his mother screams for mercy. Annoyed, the chef just floors her with one brutal swing. She begs the other survivors to save her son. But in this world, no one moves. Everyone is just paralyzed by fear. They were just relieved it was not them. Then, gunshots suddenly broke through the room, shattering the silence. Giant bullet holes rip through the door. The guards panic. Only the big bosses are supposed to have firepower this insane. Thankfully, the shots delay the boy's terrible fate. Now pay attention here, this is where it gets intense. The door creaks open, but nothing appears, so the chef sends a guard to check. The guard edges out. The second he is in range, Brother Chong snatches him by the throat like a total predator. One guard down, and Brother Chong has not even shown his face yet. Seeing that pale arm, they panic and assume a zombie broke in. They start spraying bullets everywhere, hitting absolutely nothing. Brother Chong just toys with them, circling the room and easily dodging their pathetic amateur aim. The moment they stop firing, he smashes through a window. His eyes are locked on one target, that trash chef in the center. Moving like a blur, Brother Chong snaps the chef's neck midair. Game over. He hits the ground running, launching himself at the next target. In seconds, these untrained goons are being slaughtered like actual cattle. You and I saw that too, right? He just wiped them all out, but left the survivors totally untouched. Xiaoyang walks in and gives Brother Chong props for such a clean sweep, even while he was wearing that bulky mask. Brother Chong just rasps back that the mask makes him look way cooler, and he is right. But hearing a zombie talk? Yeah, that just makes the survivors even more terrified. Kids hide behind their mothers, terrified of this mutant. Xiaoyang tries to chill everyone out, promising that Brother Chong is a good guy, but the little girl is not buying it. She has seen super monsters like him slaughter people before. You and I both know that means trouble. She asks what she knows. Stick with me, her mother just spotted a terrifying new mutant wandering in eastern Decor City. Xiaoyang didn't expect these monsters for months. And even worse, Decor City is right near their base in Old Tea Leaf Town. He warns Brother Chong that another rare mutant is likely hunting nearby. Some mutants keep their human memories, making them way smarter. And when their mutation is unstable, they become absolutely uncontrollable and incredibly violent. That terrifying possibility makes Brother Chong start doubting his own dark future. You and I can see Xiaoyang senses his fear, so he promises that with Xiaoyang around, Brother Chong will be totally safe. He asks if there are survivors in the villa, and since they're likely in the basement sales office, they head there immediately. Xiaoyang swings the steel door open, and trust me, the smell of blood is absolutely overwhelming. All right, you and I are about to witness the absolute horror hidden behind these walls. This is where those Beishui Mountain Villa monsters butchered people like cattle. No wonder we haven't seen any other groups surviving around here. Captives reported seeing those thugs hauling endless crates of meat out of the city. From the carnage in the basement, Xiaoyang estimated a massive death toll. That much meat? They were into something way darker. Since no one was living in the basement, the next stop was the sales office 1 kilometer away by the south gate. That's where survivors were held first. The useless ones, sent straight to the slaughter. Suddenly, Xiaoyang gets a mission called Subpar Utopia, forcing him to level up his community score. The idiots at the sales office had no clue their little empire had already fallen. They heard gunfire but figured the bosses were practicing on live targets again. Moving through shadows, Brother Chong silently neutralized the guards. Inside, they found a few women still trapped. The state of that room? It told a sickening story. They heard the fighting. Some had given up entirely, while others clung to a tiny spark of hope. When the door finally swung open, it wasn't another filthy villa goon standing there. Instead, they saw a young man with a cold, focused gaze. Xiaoyang gathered the women, adding them to his rescue group. They walked out of that hellhole, stepping right over the bloody remains of their captors. Xiaoyang promised them a real home, not a nightmare. But the catch was simple. Everyone works to make the community grow. After what they endured at the villa, that deal felt like a dream come true. Decision made, Xiaoyang led them to a bus he'd brought along, finally big enough for everyone. Shortly after, they reached the base. Shen Shan and Zhang Qi were already waiting. He didn't pull the bus inside immediately, so Zhang Qi watched closely to see the plan. Xiaoyang showed them the place, but made it clear. No one enters the fortress without a background check. Survivors understood. For now, they'd stay in prefab housing protected by heavy iron fences. It wasn't the main fortress, but compared to the outside world, this was pure heaven. Old Tea Leaf Town had plenty of room to expand. Hearing that, the survivors couldn't thank their savior enough. Watch this. Morning hits, and a convoy of trucks rolls up to the ruined mountain villa. The woman in charge was fuming. That idiot Zhang Qingwen and his crew weren't answering any of her calls. Sensing something was wrong, she stepped out to inspect the buildings herself. Just as she feared blood and rotting corpses everywhere, last night's dead were already rising as zombies. Even Li Wang had turned. He roared and lunged at the living with mindless hunger. Lady Boss Rui didn't even blink, killing them with her bare hands before hacking the zombie corpses into pieces. The villa was totally overrun, and her puppets were all dead. Their meat supply was ruined. They had to clean this mess and find whoever dared to destroy their operation. More blood was going to spill today. Her scouts reported that not a single survivor was left alive. The only silver lining? There was still enough meat left for today's scheduled shipment. She just had to load it up. While her men stuffed trash bags with human meat, Rui planned her revenge. She looked around. Now, pay attention here. She spots tire tracks leading away from the villa. The hunt for our hero is officially on. Back at base, Xiaoyang's community score was still only 2. Population didn't seem to matter. At least that arrogant seller gave him plenty of land to build on. He had bigger problems. A rare mutant in a nearby town needed hunting. He headed to the prefab area with his team, where the new survivors treated him like a god. After settling into clean housing, some of them actually knelt down to thank him. Xiaoyang was only there for info on that super monster the mother and daughter had mentioned. They encountered it at Henfra Market in Decor City while searching for supplies. It was a bloodbath. She grabbed her kid and fled through the chaos, only to end up at the mercy of the villa. Location locked. You and I are about to see a real fight. All right, you and I are about to watch what happens when a monster hunter decides to ignore all the obvious red flags. Decor City was only 2 kilometers away, and our main character couldn't just sit back while a massive threat stayed that close. Even the witness who saw the beast tried to hold him back, but Xiaoyang promised everyone he had this whole situation under control. He only needed Brother Chong by his side to take that thing on. Meanwhile, some tough-looking scavengers were searching Herfa for gear. They stumbled onto a huge supermarket and started celebrating about how much loot they could actually carry back. Sure, they knew other people might have picked it over, but they were confident they could survive anything this apocalypse threw at them. The store was pitch black inside. Once they adjusted, they realized it had been raided before, but plenty of good stuff remained. To flush out any hiding zombies or survivors, they stayed tight and made some noise, listening closely for any movement in the aisles. A few stragglers popped out of the shadows, and the crew stayed perfectly calm while they started taking the undead down. Moving like a well-oiled machine, they wiped out the zombies in a smooth and coordinated ambush. It felt lucky there were only a few, assuming previous looters had already cleared out the main horde. Still, they kept their guard up. Now pay attention here, because something way smarter is lurking in the dark, watching them like a predator stalking its dinner. Pushing deeper into the back, they were hyped to find enough supplies to keep them going for literal years. While the boys were busy drooling over the food, their leader got sidetracked by the furniture section and just happily flopped onto a mattress. A couple of the guys even joked about moving in permanently, since this place basically had everything they needed. While exploring, two of the core members stepped out for a smoke break and realized that despite the loot, this would be a terrible base. Too many doors to guard, and all these supplies would just attract raiders from everywhere. Two-story building next door looked way better, but they'd actually have to survive the day first. By now, the hunter had finally left the shadows to begin its attack. A scream for help from a straggler grabbed everyone's attention. He scrambled back inside as fast as humanly possible, but you simply can't outrun a super mutant. Beast drove those massive back claws straight through his chest, ending him in one terrifyingly brutal motion. It literally ripped him apart like wet paper. The rest of the group froze in shock before someone screamed for them to run. They tried to bolt, but it was useless. The slower people in the back were the first to be dragged into the dark. They threw every ounce of their willpower into each desperate step. You and I both know they aren't outrunning that thing. Seconds later, everyone was dead except for the female leader. She sprinted for the exit and finally caught a glimpse of daylight ahead. She pushed herself forward with everything she had, but high heels are the worst choice for a chase. The mutant loomed over her, enjoying the fear. She started sobbing and threw her arms up, desperately trying to shield herself from the blow. When she looked up, she saw a different super mutant wearing a cool mask. Instead of tearing her apart, he simply walked right past her. Jang Xiaoyang followed closely behind and told her to stay calm. He and his crew had arrived just in time. To her total shock, she realized he was the same guy who bought a massive plot of land from her before the world ended. Xiaoyang recognized her too, the polite agent from the real estate office. If he remembered correctly, her name was Ning Wan. Their little reunion was cut short by the sickening sound of flesh being torn apart. Wan tried to warn him about the beast, but Xiaoyang casually said it was handled. She turned around to see two mutants squaring off. Mall mutant saw Brother Chong as a rival, while Brother Chong just saw something that needed to be crushed. This was the first time either had met their own kind, and both were hyped to see who was actually the alpha. Mutant slashed with its long claws, barely missing Brother Chong's lower half. It even wondered if eating another mutant would trigger a faster evolution. As the mutant laughed, Brother Chong replied with a heavy punch that smashed the creature's head straight into the tiled floor. Now the freak had to stop messing around and actually take Brother Chong seriously as a threat. Brother Chong lifted his foot right over the monster's head. Kicking someone while they're down was definitely fair here, but the naked freak was fast enough to leap away. Still laughing, the mall mutant seemed thankful for the humans it had eaten to grow stronger. Brother Chong's instincts screamed that another attack was coming. The beast lunged straight for his face, looking more savage than ever. The two started trading dozens of blows in an absolute blur. Jiangxi started to worry that Brother Chong was losing for once, but Xiaoyang was just glad they showed up. If this thing kept hunting, it would have been unstoppable. But trust me, you and I are about to see that AK-47 in action. Stick with me. You and I are about to see how the main character handles this absolute beast. Brother Chong didn't hesitate, jumping in to pin that fast-moving mall mutant down with pure strength. Gunfire echoed. One heavy round tore right through the monster's forehead, shattering its skull and turning its brain into mush. Somehow, that wasn't enough. The mutant survived, just wait now. It's focused on taking out Xiaoyang for good. Jiangxi was shaking. He'd never seen anything keep moving after taking a direct headshot like that. If one bullet didn't work, Xiaoyang went full auto. He shredded that thing until it looked like a block of rotten green cheese. When it finally dropped, the monster gave one last twitch before the life left it completely. Xiaoyang told Brother Chong to eat the corpse, hoping it would give his mutant ally a massive power boost. Thus, killing this threat bumped up his community score, pushing his mission progress even further toward the goal. The supermarket was still loaded, so they looted everything. With Xiaoyang's storage power, they didn't have to leave anything behind. No heavy lifting or trucks needed, he just stashed it all in his personal pocket dimension. They couldn't leave the bodies to rot into zombies, so Brother Chong actually got a little dessert after his main meal. Now pay attention here while Xiaoyang is busy. Some rats are starting to move around in the shadows. Boss Rui and her scouts watched the fortress, sizing up its massive defenses. Her right-hand man thought the base looked weak, thinking they only survived because of that sturdy warehouse and nothing else. But if they were so weak, how did they take out every single person at Between Mountain Villa? Boss Rui figured they used dirty tricks, maybe luring a whole zombie horde to do their dirty work. Overconfident as ever, Boss Rui was thanking heaven for handing her a new base and easy prey. They just needed to go back, gear up, and strike the fortress when it least expected a brutal surprise attack. The scouts turned their cars around and disappeared. On the way home, Jang Qi bragged to Wan about their base having soft mattresses and even hot water waiting for them. Seeing other cars is rare now, so everyone immediately tensed up and gripped their weapons just in case things got ugly. You and I both saw that tension, right? In that split second as the cars passed, Xiaoyang and Boss Rui sensed each other. A new mission popped up, Villain Nemesis Volume 1. Stopping the invasion would net him 50 big points. He knew right then that those suspicious drivers were the ones planning to invade. To be safe, he asked Shan Shan in the watchtower if she'd spotted anything weird lurking near the base lately. He mentioned a car passing in the distance, and that was all the confirmation our main character needed to act. He called a massive meeting with everyone. Meanwhile, over at the southern coal plant, things were looking a little too quiet. Boss Rui was using a radio broadcast to lure desperate survivors into her trap with fake promises of a safe zone. These survivors were still alert. You don't stay alive this long without being pretty capable. Boss Rui finally returned from scouting, pulling up to welcome the fresh meat that her radio broadcast had lured into the camp. The second they saw Boss Rui, their common sense just completely vanished. She used her charm to lower their guard, smiling while inviting them deep into her deadly camp. Survivors traded grins while heading inside, amazed by how clean and organized the coal plant actually looked to them. It felt like a real home until one of them asked to use the indoor bathroom. Boss Rui offered to show him the way, and the fool walked right into her trap without a clue. She stayed to size him up, and the idiot started bragging about his strength like it was an invitation. One quick step and a sharp blade ended all that talk. She killed him without hesitation. The guy never saw it coming. She thought about keeping him alive, but after seeing him, she decided killing him was much easier. Outside, her men were busy too. Every single survivor lured in by the radio was brutally slaughtered. Absolutely wild. Back home, everyone gathered for Xiaoyang's meeting to discuss the battle that was heading their way. Old Li wondered who'd be crazy enough to attack, but Xiaoyang warned that the strike could happen any time. Prepare, Jang Qi and Brother Chong were ordered to help clear out the unfinished building nearby. The refugees needed to move there so they wouldn't be sitting ducks in the open housing area. Shan Shan and even the twins volunteered to help out with the massive clearing operation. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You and I are definitely going to want to see this upcoming battle unfold. Stick with me. You and I are watching Uncle Shang and Old Li stay behind to guard the base. While they stayed, Xiaoyang led his small army to gear up and clear the way for the coming war. They stormed the southeast building, and honestly, it was pure chaos as they shredded every zombie in sight. This brutal warm-up was exactly what they needed. After the first wave, Xiaoyang called for a quick timeout. He warned everyone that things were about to get ugly, so they had to clear this building completely. Some refugees arrived. They actually offered to help fight. As Xiaoyang weighed his options, he realized something. They desperately needed more firepower, so he promised to hand out guns and ammo later that same day. Stay safe, the building and the main fortress would keep in constant contact using their walkie-talkies. Meanwhile, over at the coal plant, Boss Rui was busy overseeing her twisted cannibal operation. Top lieutenants, including the one who looks like an alchemist, were drooling for a share of fresh meat. Rui was still fuming over losing Beachway Mountain, which meant they had to hunt for their own food now. Pay attention here, this is where the villains start looking for some bloody payback against the people in the east suburb. The plan was set. Tomorrow morning, Rui and her number 2 would launch an all-out attack on the normies. Back at the fortress, work wrapped up for the night, and Xiaoyang finally logged into his system. With 46 points saved up, he checked the daily crates and found a level 2 awakening power crate for 25 points, plus a level 2 farming crate and essential food supplies. Those 2 high-level crates would cost 40 points total, but he decided it was time to spend big. He cracked open the most expensive crate he had ever purchased and unlocked a brand new skill called Overload. This power boosts all his physical stats by 25%, but there is a catch: he will be weakened afterward. Since he is already a beast, that extra boost makes him superhuman, letting him hit 8 times harder than a normal guy. Xiaoyang was itching to test this power on a real target. The night was quiet, but the morning, not so much. Massive convoy of trucks and bikes rolled out from the coal plant, heading straight for the eastern suburb. Boss Rui went over the plan one last time. They would drive through and slaughter every refugee outside the walls. Then, number 2 would smash the gate so the modified vehicles could rush in and provide heavy covering fire. As for number 2, the starving psycho didn't even wear a shirt. Meanwhile, the fortress was already on high alert. You and I both knew this was coming. Watch Old Li taking the highest spot where no one can see him. Xiaoyang put him there because Old Li actually had years of experience as a sniper before he became a cop. Old Li just scratched his head and corrected him. He had only filled in as a sniper for a few months. Still, he could easily nail any target within 500 meters, which is more than enough for a fight like this. Xiaoyang had his friend carry a heavy crate to the roof, revealing a legendary, spotless Barrett sniper rifle inside. Old Li was completely floored. How on earth did a young kid like Xiaoyang get his hands on a weapon like that? Xiaoyang didn't explain much, only warning that they had 10 rounds total, so every single shot had to count. Old Li gripped the massive rifle, feeling the heavy weight and the massive pressure of the battle ahead. Xiaoyang warned that the enemy was coming today. Suddenly, Shan spotted something moving and quickly alerted the entire team. Peering through his scope, Old Li confirmed the nightmare, a fleet of enemy vehicles was closing in fast. Over in the convoy, Boss Rui was confused that the refugees were gone, but she ordered everyone to keep pushing. They were already within sight of the walls, and stopping now would only kill their momentum and get them killed. The convoy charged forward, trying to reach the wall. The moment they were in range, Shan gave the order to fire. Suddenly, every defender along the wall pulled out their weapons and unleashed a storm of lead on the intruders. The coal plant thugs didn't expect this much resistance. Bullets immediately started tearing through their vehicles and their bodies. This was supposed to be a surprise hit, but they were the ones who got walked into a deadly trap. Boss Rui was stunned that her plan had been leaked, but she ordered her men to keep charging through the bloodbath. Against all odds, it worked. A few of the modified cars actually managed to reach the base of the wall. All that mattered now was getting number 2, and his massive power saw close enough to chew through the gate. He began hacking into the metal with insane strength. Shan screamed a warning that a monster was breaking through the entrance. They raised their rifles and fire. We must see what happens next. All right. You and I are about to watch a simple defense turn into an absolute bloodbath. Under that heavy fire, the rookies in the watchtower scrambled back. Even Fatty Xie took a shoulder hit, but luckily he is still alive. The enemy had serious aim and firepower. Keeping them out was getting harder by the second. Veterans tried to keep the young guys calm. They just had to hold their ground since they still had plenty of ammo left. But ammo meant nothing if that saw cut through. Once the gate fell, their tactical advantage would be gone. Luckily, the boss was 10 steps ahead. Xiaoyang slipped out of the fortress, moving like a ghost through the shadows. Then he just sprinted out like he was bulletproof. Boss Rui's team had burned half their ammo, and the gate was still holding. Saw needed just a few more seconds of work. Finally, the metal groaned and the entrance burst wide open. Shan and the tower crew rushed down to back everyone up. Boss Rui actually smiled. They were finally inside. Now, she wanted to see how these amateurs handled a monster powered by human meat. She used number 2 as a massive walking shield and told her men to tuck in right behind him. The beast just ripped the opening wider. Now, pay attention, this is the exact moment everything starts to flip on its head. Li Hongli steadied his heartbeat and his breath, lining up the big guy. Once that massive head appeared, his crosshairs snapped onto it like a total aimbot. Number 2 let out a roar. He was honestly more beast than man at this point. The second that freak stepped through the gate, morale just tanked. They fired everything, but his skin was like literal stone. Their bullets just pinged off. Number 2 kept pushing, tanking the lead without even needing armor. It did not matter what caliber they used, the rounds only left tiny scratches that healed instantly. His regeneration was just on another level. Boss Rui loved seeing the fear in their eyes. She knew they had never seen a high-tier evolver's power before. Suddenly, the signal hit Li Hongli on the roof. He had total faith in his aim and that Barrett sniper rifle. Barrett kicked hard. One trigger pull and the monster's head exploded into a red mist of blood and brains. The unstoppable number 2 just dropped dead. Boss Rui and her crew froze. Their only cover was gone in an instant. Nobody expected this tiny base to have a weapon like that. With the shield gone, Xiaoyang appeared on the flank with his AK-47. He opened fire immediately, snapping the invaders right out of their shock. You and I totally saw that coming, right? Boss Rui completely underestimated them, and now her people are paying a heavy price. Still, she was not going down without a fight. She grabbed a submachine gun and started spraying while sprinting for the exit. Gritting her teeth, she pushed herself to the limit just to find a way out of there. She recognized Xiaoyang's eyes from the road earlier. To save her own skin, she grabbed one of her own men. Without even blinking, she used him as a human shield to block the bullets. Xiaoyang noticed her insane reaction speed. She had to be an evolver too. She tossed the dying goon at him and blocked the path. Xiaoyang had to dive out of the way, which forced him to stop his attack. That split second gave Boss Rui enough time to reach her car, but old Li was not about to let her go that easily. He lined up the shot, treating that Barrett like it was the most powerful weapon under heaven and earth. Man really thought he was Gojo for a second. He missed the headshot, but managed to blast her super fast legs instead. Losing a limb sent Boss Rui crashing down right next to the car. Li Hongli felt pretty bad about missing the kill. As he chambered the next round, one of her surviving goons dragged her into the vehicle. Those two clearly knew how to run from a disaster. They sped off with their tails between their legs as Xiaoyang called a ceasefire. He did not care if those idiots came back later. He was just happy the system mission was finally marked complete. The 50-point reward lifted everyone's spirits. Plus, Volume 2 of the Nemesis mission was officially unlocked. Now it was his turn to raid the cannibal base for another easy 50. Everyone in the fortress started celebrating the big win. As for their losses, A few people were wounded, but luckily nobody actually died in the chaos. Wounded headed to the med bay, while the enemy bodies were sent to cold storage for Brother Chong's dinner. With the threat gone, the refugees were finally allowed to go back to their homes. Alone at last, Xiaoyang checked his new points and got hyped to spend them all that night. Back at the coal plant, the invaders limped home with only 3 survivors, and Boss Rui was missing a leg. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this revenge plays out. Alright, you and I are about to see how a tyrant falls when she loses her cool and demands human meat for a snack. Boss Rui was losing it, screaming that everyone was useless and that they weren't even worth number 2's big toe. That was the final straw for number 3. She was broken, weak, but still had the nerve to talk down to them. Boss Rui never saw the mutiny coming. Panicked, she ordered a hit on number 3, but nobody even moved a muscle. Even the guys carrying her went deaf. With Rui crippled and number 2 dead, number 3 was officially the new big dog on campus. These guys were done with Rui's toxic leadership, and now they finally had their chance for some long-awaited payback. Even then, Rui thought she could still bark orders, but once they closed in, her tough girl act shattered instantly. Led by number 3, the coal plant gang finally unleashed all their pent-up rage on her. They went to town on Rui with metal pipes, cheering as she screamed. Since she was an evolver, her body actually held out for a while. Once she finally kicked the bucket, number 3 just grinned and wiped the blood off his hands. One guy called him Boss 3 and almost got killed for it. From now on, the name is Big Boss. Period. With the power struggle over, the group started wondering what comes next. Without their leaders, the coal plant was vulnerable. And their biggest fear wasn't the fortress, it was that terrifying tentacle man. Big Boss decided to ditch the plant and try their luck joining the West Steel group instead. Now here is where things get interesting. Watch closely as Jang Xiaoyang and his crew head behind enemy lines to scout the coal plant. He told Jiang Qi and Old Li to stay quiet while they moved in. Surprisingly, the entire camp was empty. The only thing they found was the woman from yesterday's attack, lying dead in the dirt. It was obvious her own men turned on her. The crew was shocked, but Xiaoyang already saw this coming. Jiang Qi asked about that giant who smashed through the door earlier. He wasn't like Brother Chong, but he was just as weird. Xiaoyang had mentioned evolvers before, and now even Old Li was curious about how to actually become one. Xiaoyang's answer was blunt. You eat people. That was enough to make everyone feel sick. He explained that cannibalism is basically the fast track to gaining those crazy mutant powers. Since Xiaoyang is a beast himself, Jiang Qi nervously asked if he had to throw away his humanity to get strong. You and I both know Xiaoyang has a better way. Watch as he pulls a mysterious glowing red stone from his pocket. He explained that both evolvers and zombies are mutants that get stronger by absorbing this weird exotic energy. Even normal humans have it, but it's just too weak and spread out to matter. Evolvers and rare mutants condense that energy into cores. Soon, even basic zombies will start forming them as things get worse. But eating zombie meat sounds like a one-way ticket to infection. Xiaoyang warned that normal people definitely can't do that. Only mutants like Brother Chong can digest that stuff safely and use it to level up. Mid-conversation, Xiaoyang's system mission cleared itself. Guess the coal plant crew isn't a threat to us anymore. While Xiaoyang was busy checking his stats, a zombie tried to sneak him. Luckily, his reflexes are top tier. He ended it with one smooth knife draw. This zombie was actually the perfect example for his biology lesson. He reached in and yanked out the core. With zombie numbers growing, hunting season is officially open for business. Holding 2 cores, he offered them to Jiang Qi and Old Li to jumpstart their own evolution journey. Jiang Qi was too grossed out to accept, but Old Li, he chose raw power over his fear. He swallowed both cores at once and felt the rush. His body transformed fast, but Xiaoyang warned him that being an evolver doesn't make you unbeatable. Old Li took that to heart and promised he wouldn't let the power go to his head. Now that the coast was clear, it was finally time to head back home. While our team heads home, the coal plant survivors finally arrive at the West Steel Mill and get stopped. Big Boss introduced himself as the plant's new leader. The guard was skeptical and went to tell his boss. After some back and forth, the group was finally allowed inside. Steel mill bosses immediately demanded to know what happened to Jing Rui and number 2. Big Boss lied, claiming they were ambushed and lost their leaders. That news definitely caught the bald boss's eye before he led them to a safe house. Meanwhile, Baldy met with his partner to scheme while Big Boss and his men were locked away. And trust me, you and I are going to see this new title backfire soon. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where one mistake can cost everything. He was so distracted he didn't even notice the trap. Bars and locked doors were everywhere. This wasn't a safe house at all, it was obviously a high-security prison. Before they could even move, the guard marched in. He barked an order for everyone to get outside immediately. When they were brought out, the entire steel mill crew was waiting. Number 3 nervously asked what the hell was happening. The female leader didn't hesitate. She accused him of betraying Boss Rui and declared that a crime like that deserved total punishment. Number 3 tried to deny it, but his time was up. Boss Ling ignored his excuses and called her guard, Li Cheng, to report. Li Cheng said he found Li Jingroy dead at the coal plant, and number 2 had completely vanished from the scene. There were no signs of a struggle. The only answer that made any sense was pure, cold-blooded betrayal. Even after hearing that, number 3 kept pleading his innocence. But in this wasteland, nobody waits for proof or a fair trial. And let's be real, the steel mill only tolerated the coal plant because they were afraid of Boss Rue's terrifying power. With her gone, number 3 was fresh meat for a pack of wolves. One of his men panicked, begging for mercy while offering secrets for his life. Boss Ling let him talk, even though she looked like she didn't care about his desperate rambling at all. The snitch spilled everything about a settlement to the east, the same place where Boss Rui and number 2 were finally defeated. And asked about their strength, he guessed they were an equal match for the steel mill. That caught the leader's attention immediately. Now here is the part you need to watch. The Easterners hadn't even figured out how to become evolvers yet. Lai Chang listened intently, looking a bit puzzled at the mention of these evolved human beings. Boss Pang couldn't believe regular humans beat Jing Rui. The snitch explained the Easterners were packing some seriously heavy weapons. One shot could take out a powerhouse like number 2. Boss Ling loved the intel, but she wasn't about to let a rat walk away with a reward. She gave the signal, and the coal plant crew froze. Their screams echoed through the mill until every last one of them went silent. That was the end of the coal plant faction. Now, Boss Pang was starting to get seriously worried about the eastern settlement. Boss Ling warned against a blind attack. It was too risky to charge in while those heavy weapons were still around. Better to evolve more fighters first to ensure a total win. For now, they would send scouts to see if these people were beginners. Meanwhile, Jang Xiaoyang was chilling in his room. He was browsing the system shop, wondering how to spend his 126 points. To his surprise, a level 2 black tech supply box was sitting there for just 50 points. He cleared out the entire shop without a second thought, leaving himself with 71 points remaining. A massive supply crate arrived, filled with 500 kilos of high-quality lotus powder, cocoa butter, and plenty of cooking oil. Can you believe this luck? He got a physical enhancement serum. But then, a sudden knock on the door changed the mood. Shan rushed in to report they had caught a suspicious rat crawling around the base perimeter. Xiaoyang went to investigate. Zhang Qi and Old Li had the intruder pinned, but the man kept screaming that he wasn't an enemy. He insisted on speaking only to the fortress leader. Once Xiaoyang showed up, the guy finally started talking. He introduced himself as Shuok Singh from Westwind Steel Mill. That name immediately put Uncle Shang on high alert. Westwind was a massive facility to the southwest. Everyone knew it was one of the biggest survivor bases around. Like the coal plant, it was a powerhouse only 3 kilometers away. But if they were that close, why was this guy creeping around? Shuok Singh acted tough, claiming that in times like this, survivors really needed to stick together and cooperate. He claimed his leader wanted to recruit other settlements, but Xiaoyang wasn't buying it. The guy had been caught sketching a map. They pulled the map from his pocket. Shuok Singh just gave an awkward grin. Xiaoyang used mind's eye to see the truth. One look at the guy's soul revealed everything. He was looking down on everyone in this fortress. Xiaoyang stopped playing nice and jammed a gun against the man's forehead. He was done being treated like a fool. Tell the truth right now or die. Seeing how serious the leader was, the scout finally started sweating. Even so, he held on to his lies, claiming his group was just being extra careful in a dangerous world. Xiaoyang checked if the guy had seen Brother Chong. Since he hadn't, Xiaoyang surprisingly told his men to let the scout go. He even tossed the hand-drawn map back. Shueking was ecstatic, convinced his master-class acting had actually worked. He bolted from the fortress before anyone could change their mind. Watching the scout run, Xiaoyang just let out a cold smile. You and I know that look. He's already calculating how many system points that entire steel mill is worth. 5 peaceful months passed by quickly. But over at West Steel Mill, people were starting to vanish one by one. All right, you and I are diving back into a world where a literal tentacle monster is the least of their worries. Scavengers heard a noise in the junk pile and froze in fear. Before one could even run to report it, he was dead. A cold blade finished him instantly. The screams reached Liang, coming from deep within that rotting pile of garbage. The only survivor of the crew pinned the blame on that legendary tentacle beast. Any sign of that thing is serious business, especially since this attack happened in plain daylight. Li Chen grabbed his weapon, told the civilians to hide, and brought along evolvers with top-tier escape abilities. At the junk pile, they spotted a suspicious figure right away. Liang told his squad to avoid a fight. If they were spotted, they were to retreat immediately. Looking closer, he realized the monster wasn't there. Just tracks on the ground. Maybe it took its prey and left. Ever since Beetree Mountain and the coal plant were wiped out, these disappearances have been getting way worse. Before, the monster hunted everywhere. Now, the West Steel Mill is its one and only playground. Li Chang didn't buy it. Back at the fortress, the progress over 5 months was impossible to ignore. Trust me, you'll want to watch this. Jang Xiaoyang has already lived way longer than in his last life. His total community score has finally climbed to 38. The system mission for the steel mill still hadn't appeared. Meanwhile, everyone in his inner circle had been staying busy. Shan Shan and the squad returned from their mission. Xiaoyang showed off by leaping from the wall to the ground. He reported that the hunt went perfectly. With their current power, nobody can track or fight them. Even Xian started joining the adults on these hunts. Shuya kept a close eye on him as he grew into a warrior. He even killed a zombie solo today. Thanks to Villain Nemesis Volume 3, the team was busy clearing threats and helping potential allies. They collected every mutant core they found. Xiaoyang wondered if the system meant the steel mill was the ally. Since the mission still hadn't triggered, he decided to act first and sneak into the mill alone. Old Li hated the idea. Uncle Shang mentioned enemy scouts were everywhere, so those people definitely spelled big trouble. Xiaoyang wasn't worried. With his strength, even Brother Chong couldn't hurt him. It was time to find out if the steel mill was a friend or foe. He left Uncle Shang, Old Li, and his inner circle in charge of the fortress and the refugee town. The place would hold, but everyone's still worried. Without Xiaoyang, the settlement could fall apart. Back at the mill, Li returned from checking the trash heap. He tried to talk to the leaders, but the guards blocked his path at the door. Li Chong snapped, grabbing a guard by the throat. He quickly realized he was losing control again and forced himself to calm down. He let go and apologized. Honestly, Li Chang had been worried about these sudden bursts of rage for months. His emotions were getting harder to manage. Once the bosses heard his voice, they let him inside. You and I both know something's wrong here. He found Boss Ling alone, ready to share a new theory. He found a woman's footprints at the crime scene. Maybe the tentacle man wasn't behind every single death. Another killer was out there. Boss Ling didn't doubt him but told him to keep his mouth shut. The tentacle man had already terrified the entire settlement enough. He couldn't risk scaring people into hiding. Liang tried to argue, but one look from her made him blush. He awkwardly left the room. Li Chang'an was a beast in battle, but around her, his brain just melted. Suddenly, a mocking voice called her careless from the shadows of the next room. Boss Ling snapped back that she could give the job to someone else if he hated her methods. The voice belonged to Baldy Ping. These days, Ling did the killing and Baldy handled the messy cleanup. He ditched the heads and ate the bodies. Meanwhile, Xiaoyang kept slaying zombies on his way to the mill. He needed a disguise fast. He pulled out some scissors from storage and did something totally unhinged. He hacked off his hair with his eyes closed. Then he smeared dirt all over his face. He added glasses to finish the look. For a guy trying to look rough, he didn't look bad. As he approached the steel mill, a patrol guard spotted him right away. All right, stick with me for the next part. Things are about to get very dangerous for our hero. Stick with me. Let's see how our hero explains surviving alone in this dangerous world. Xiang made up a story about a 10-person squad getting wiped by a zombie horde, leaving him as the only survivor. They asked about his power. He said he was just handy. Surviving multiple attacks made him a pro at killing undead. The guard was clearly fishing to see if he was a powerful evolver. Since the hero stayed quiet about evolution, the guard let him in. On the way, he mentioned a little entrance test was required. Just from that one comment, he could tell this steel mill was crawling with absolute snakes. At the entrance, Li Chang spotted the stranger being brought into their territory. The guard tried to lie, saying he was taking the survivor for a private check. Li Chang wasn't buying any of that nonsense. If a search was happening, it was happening right here. He took charge and ordered the stranger to drop every weapon immediately. He hesitated, admitting he wasn't a fan of going unarmed into a total mystery. Li Chang respected the caution, but rules were rules. Hand over the gear or leave. So, he finally surrendered his blade. Not like it mattered since he had spares in storage. Li Chang then gave him a full pat-down for hidden weapons. He was actually shocked to find someone with actual morals in a place this filthy. It was a huge change from the savages he met at the coal plant. Impressed, he survived with a dagger. Liang asked if he was an evolver. He played dumb, saying he just felt stronger lately. To play it safe, Liang decided the boss should see him first. For now, he was stuck in reception. Reception? More like a jail cell. He noticed the door was reinforced like a high-security prison block immediately. Minutes later, Boss Ping walked in, carefully sizing him up and asking for his name. He gave a fake name, Jang Ya. Ping wanted to see if the kid was really an evolver and if physical test was fastest. Now watch this. Ping suddenly hurls a hatchet at his face, but our hero just casually tilts his head aside. Almost struck back for a second, but he realized the big guy was only testing his reflexes. So he played along, yelling at Ping for nearly killing him. Ping just laughed that dodge was all the proof needed. If he weren't an evolver, he'd be dead. Now that they were equals, Ping demanded to know his secret to evolution. He hinted at the dark cannibalism method and warned Jang Ya to keep his mouth shut about the whole thing. Only a few know the secret, and if it leaks, Ping will kill whoever talked. To prove it, he lunged forward as if to crush the kid's neck. Luckily for him, it was just a bluff. If Ping had actually attacked with a weapon, he would have ended him right there, though that would ruin the mission. Ping was actually impressed. Still, he warned that even with those skills, the kid was nowhere near his own level. Basically, don't even think about resisting. After that little test, Ping ordered his men to give Jang Ya clean clothes and a wash. Fresh and clean, the new Jang Ya was finally taken to meet the other elite evolvers. Ping introduced Huang Ling as his partner, with Li Chang and Huang Bin acting as the settlement officers. Huang Bin was the one tasked with showing our newcomer how the camp worked. Let's pause here for a second. This place is a total nightmare. If you want to eat well and survive, you have to prove your worth. Jang Ya promised to follow orders. Everything was going exactly according to his plan. He joined Huang Bin's patrol just in time. After picking a Chang and Ashing, the squad headed out, though one guy clearly hated him. But since Jang Ya knew their dark secret now, this was the only squad where they could keep an eye on him. During the walk, Ashing kept staring him down. Huang Bin, however, was fair and explained their internal system. In this mill, only 6 people knew that eating humans was their shortcut to power. It was a twisted circle. With the boss's relatives on the team, any leak would be the outsider's fault. That made the situation pretty tense. It made Jang Ya uneasy, especially with that guy staring at him so intensely. He recognized the old man from a run-in at the fortress months ago. Then, there was Li Chang to worry about. He was a gifted officer but knew nothing about the cannibalism. They had to ensure he never found out the truth about their evolution. If Li Chang found out, people would die. That told our hero everything he needed to know. Bosses were clearly suppressing Li Chang because his natural talent was way higher than theirs. They've reached the edge, and 7 people are in sight. So, is this a rescue or a slaughter? We're about to find out. Alright, you and I are about to watch Jang Ya and Hang Bin navigate a world where humans aren't the top predators anymore. Hang Bin laughed, telling Jang Ya to ditch his morals and realize they were essentially just farming these people. To these evolvers, normal humans were just prey. They saw themselves as the ultimate predators of the wasteland. Plan? Simple. Raid the camp, keep them as livestock, and slaughter them later for resources. They only needed 5 or 6 people alive. The rest could die. Our new guy just had to watch how things were done. This small group had been living in peace for months, just working hard to build a better life for themselves. But while they were busy fixing their shelter, a massive zombie horde suddenly surrounded their hidden camp. They grabbed their weapons, but guns are useless if you freeze when the trigger finally needs pulling. As his friends fell one by one builder could only shake in terror, waiting for his turn. Meanwhile, Jang Ya and the patrol just stood there, listening to the screams. Huang Bin called this method necessary. Supplies were low. They had to let the zombies thin the herd before moving in to save the survivors. One woman screamed as monsters closed in. Then, in a flash, the zombies were brutally cut down and beheaded. She froze. 1 second, she was dead meat. The next, her savior was reaching out a hand. Hang swung a heavy hammer while Xing used twin daggers fast, silent, and absolutely deadly. After clearing the massive horde, Hang Bin introduced his team as evolvers from the steel plant. These survivors were just incredibly grateful to still be breathing. That fight gave Jang Ya a solid lead. Hang Bin's squad seemed about as strong as the other subgroups. Suddenly, his whole body tensed up. He felt a hungry, dark presence nearby. He checked an open room in a nearby building, empty. He figured it was just his mind playing tricks. Hang Bin called him back to clean. Still, Jang Ye could not shake the feeling of being watched. He was right to worry. Something monstrous was hiding, and the clueless survivors were leaking useful info. They still had a warehouse full of supplies. Jang Ya stayed to oversee the collection while Huang Bin's men prepared to move a small truck later. His job? Stacking the fresh bodies of the people who did not make it. Survivors followed Huang Bin like he was some kind of holy savior, which worked out great for Jang Ya and gave him room to move. On the way back, the survivors kept thanking them. One naive girl even asked if the camp had a place to bathe. Creep grabbed her, bragging about having hot water and soap back at their base. Now pay attention, because here is where the vibe shifts as Hang Bin notices the danger and alerts everyone. That creep, Changgang, kept hovering over the girl even though she was clearly terrified of him. Xing sensed the danger first, but he could not pinpoint the threat. He just trusted his gut. Something was out there. Suddenly, a sharp spear-like limb shot in and pierced Changjiang through his neck before he even knew what happened. Huang Bin panicked instantly. He recognized that specific attack style. Tentacle monster arrived. It retracted its limb, then blurred right into Hang Bin's fighting range before anyone could blink. As the group was ripped apart, Jang Ya calmly started harvesting mutant cores from the dead zombies. 2 zombies dropped cores. Not a bad haul for a quick side hustle. You and I see him keeping up the act until Hang Bin's desperate screams echo in the distance. Monster's tentacles wrapped around his entire body and squeezed until blood sprayed from every opening, even snapping his leg with a sickening crack. The survivors were paralyzed with horror. All of Changgang's tough guy act was completely gone. He looked ready to snap. The monster turned its gaze toward the last evolver left standing. Backing away in terror, Chang Gang grabbed the girl and threw her at the monster to save his own skin. The monster gladly took the easy prey. Only this time, it was not anything pretty. Brutal, crushing death was coming. But her real savior arrived, slicing through those tentacles like they were just butter. Maybe Jang, and his blade really could take down the nightmare everyone feared. Jang stared down the creature without a single hint of fear. This was just a son of the monster. The main monster mutters the word son and turns regular zombies into these tentacled freaks. Even the top bosses would struggle with one, or at least that is what Chang Gang believed. And that is where we leave it, with a coward running while our hero prepares for an epic showdown. Stick with me because you are about to witness one of the most cold-blooded betrayals ever. That coward just left him for dead. Now the monster is coming for blood after those cuts. Fresh tentacles wrap around him and he does not even blink. He is actually curious to see how this evolved monster has offspring. He stays dead calm because he has the power to back it up. He wants to test this nasty creature for himself. The two ended up in a brutal tug of war, and it clicks. Jang never really tested that ability he awakened months ago. Today feels like the perfect time to let loose. Watch this. He uses physical overload and pushes his body to a terrifying level instantly. Before he was just holding back. Now he is dragging the monster across the dirt. He stops it dead with one single step. The beast cannot speak, but that roar sounds pure terrified now. The last survivor watches in total shock. This normal kid is tearing apart a monster with his bare hands that crushed a whole team. By the time he was finally finished, its head and limbs, body were ripped apart and scattered. He walks over and asks the woman if she's okay, after almost being crushed. Seeing the blood on his face, she screams in fear. Now she thinks he is the real monster. He just smiles and tells her he is not one. Meanwhile, the cowards who fled finally reach the mill gates. At the entrance, the bosses meet them and ask why they look wrecked and where the others are. Quickly explain that the others were killed by that disgusting tentacle son. Only one guy asks about the rookie. The rest assume he is dead because no beginner could possibly survive that mess. Hearing his cousin died like that makes Baldy Pang furious. He has nowhere to put that rage, so he blames survivors. He starts cutting them down on the spot with his hatchet. They cannot afford to lose control, but he finally calms down after. Then something stops the chaos. A bundle of tentacles drops down and grabs everyone's attention. They look up and see the newest member. Jang shows up right after the outburst. The boss is shocked that a rookie actually made it back alive and well. Now check this out. He returns with a rescued girl and a pile of tentacles as proof of the kill. He explains that he took down the monster and avenged the family members. The leader sees him differently now. Jang breaks the silence by asking for vehicles and men to help collect the bodies and loot. While he handles that job, the bosses question the cowards about what really happened. The coward still refuses to believe he killed a monster that wiped out the rest of the fighters by himself. As far as they knew, even both bosses together would have had a bloody fight against it. Aldi is still stuck on his first impression. A guy with no stance in the test should not be this strong. So they guess the beast only won because it attacked everyone by surprise. Still, they cannot let someone that powerful stay unchecked, especially with how close he is to Liang. Footsteps approach, and the room goes quiet. Liang comes in with a proposal for the bosses to consider. He suggests making Jang an officer, but Baldy rejects it immediately. They know nothing about the kid, and the boss cuts him off. He knows he has officer-level strength, but he needs to prove it to the whole steel mill before they can trust him. Since they are talking, she suggests testing him on the real tentacle monster. If he kills it, they solve two problems. Liang says that is totally unfair. Even both bosses together could not do that, but she says the whole steel mill will move out together. It was time to end that threat forever. After hauling the supplies back, the bosses explain the plan. He is surprised they are building a plan around him so soon after joining them. The boss plays to his pride, saying he might be the strongest fighter in the whole settlement. If the mission works, he gets a leadership seat. Then he mockingly asks the others if they are fine with the rookie outranking them. They force themselves to agree, and the plan moves in 2 days. Jang knows they are just acting. He would have believed them if he had not seen their rotten intentions. Trust me, you and I should keep an eye on that eastern fortress because things are tense. Alright, you and I are about to dive into one of the most intense undercover operations yet. Let's see how this unfolds. Xiaoyang reported the plan to take down the mill. In 2 days, they would meet at the South Suburban Park. It was finally time to wipe out the last big threat in the area. Old Li took over the detailed planning. Everyone agreed Uncle Sheng should stay behind because of his age. This mission carried bigger risks than anything before. Their best fighters had to be ready. Brother Chong, Shan, Zhang Qi, and the rest would be key. In the corner of the room, little Shuai insisted he wanted to fight too, but his mom quickly shut that down. War was for adults, not kids, but she had not seen him during their hunting runs. Little Shuai was no weakling. Even among the core team, he could hold his own. Old Li needed every capable hand he could get. In times like this, it was better for little Shuai to gain experience early. 2 days passed fast, and the hunt began. Aldi Pang and Boss Ling led everyone to the tentacle monster's last known location. The disguised Jiang Wei asked how they would lure it out. Baldy told him not to rush, they had a plan ready. Watch this part closely. The fortress team is already in position and fully armed up on the roof, watching everything from way above. They could not move any closer because their boss had ordered them to stay back until the time was right. Now, all they could do was set the ropes. Once things started, they would strike from the side. Down below, Bossling called over one of the skinny porters carrying supplies. The boy looked up and asked what she wanted. With a cold smile, she told him to go into the park. The porters were only there to carry gear and loot. Ai Chang could not just watch while she did something this cruel. In Bossling's mind, no bait was better than a boy. The monster kept muttering about a son, so they were going to give it exactly what it wanted. She promised they would save him once the monster appeared. The starving porter was terrified since nobody wanted to be bait. He grabbed the boy by the collar and threatened hhim. Then, with his evolver strength, he hurled the poor kid deep into the park. The throw was so hard it probably hurt him badly. Up in the building, Old Lee stayed alert as things finally started moving. He gave the signal, and everyone started climbing the building using the ropes they had prepared. In the middle of the park, the skinny boy got up, staggered around, and cried for help. But nobody answered him. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed, muttering for its son. Finally, the massive boss monster showed itself. The tentacle creature looked like the one Jang Wei killed before, but more human. Its eyes glowed with pure killing intent. Liang shouted at the bosses to stop standing around and save the boy now that the target had appeared. No one moved. He tried to rush in himself, but Bossling stopped him, saying that Jang had to act first. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. These villains are absolutely shameless with their twisted, cold logic. Masks were finally coming off. Before the tentacles could reach the kid, Jang Ya already burst forward at superhuman speed. Luckily, he beat the tentacles, grabbed the boy by the shirt, and threw the little bald kid back to safety. Li Chong caught him cleanly. The monster was furious at Jang Ya for interfering, and with his fake glasses gone, Xiaoyang was back. The tentacle monster wrapped around him and pulled him in. Up close, Xiaoyang noticed something very strange. Once the kid was safe, Li Chong was ready to join the fight. But before he could help, the bosses held him back. If they do not move now, Jang Ya will die. Li Chong still did not get that this was the whole point. Boss Ling actually found him funny. She thought the kid could at least stall the monster, but now he was being crushed. Maybe his earlier kill was just luck. Liang's idiot self never saw the setup at all. Instead of letting those devils explain, Xiaoyang spoke up and exposed the steel mill bosses for eating people. Once again, Liang had no idea what he meant. Right then, the Eastern Fortress crew opened fire on the enemy evolvers. Their rifles and handguns lit up the park, hitting the steel mill group from the side. They split into two teams. One held off the evolvers while the other helped Xiaoyang fight the tentacle monster. Little Shu led that second team with a Molotov in hand. The kid was moving like a wild man, curled it with all his strength, and the monster slapped it away, splashing oil all over itself and spreading flames. But instead of reacting to the fire, the monster stared at the boy. It was like his human mind came back, completely forgot about the man he was holding. Meanwhile, the kid was cursing because his firebomb did not work. Trust me, you and I need to see where this emotional twist goes next. This is getting wild. All right, you and I are about to dive into a fight where the rules don't apply. Brother Chong moves in. His legs are a blur, dodging every tentacle as they smash into the dirt instead of him. Behind cover, the steel mill crew watches in pure shock as one monster takes on the beast they fear most. Mutant helping humans? Makes no sense to them. Chong is dodging like a pro, but he still can't land a hit. Those tentacles trap him in a cage for a second, but he uses raw power to shred right through them. But that was just bait. The real danger is coming from right behind his back. Without that warning, his head would have been pierced. After a brutal trade, both monsters pull back to catch their breath. Even while captured, Xiaoyang just laughs and starts teasing Brother Chong for struggling. Baldy Pang is floored. The kid they just picked up is literally joking around with a terrifying mutant. Now watch this. Xiaoyang rips those tentacles apart like paper. Jang finally notices that one of the attackers just called the kid by his real name. Old Zuchang mentioned that name before. It belongs to the legendary leader of the Eastern Fortress. Everything clicks. The kid played them all. This entire hunt was nothing but a massive trap. That means the steel mill crew are the real prey here. Boss Ling looks at the enemy's side, trying to figure out a way through. He figures their top fighter is only around the same level as Lai Cheng. But those guns are a major problem. And the biggest threat of all? That would be Xiaoyang. To make things worse, the masked mutant is a beast. Boss Ling knows winning this fight is almost impossible. Fighting back means heavy losses, but she has a plan. Baldy Pang just needs to hold the fortress crew off. These two have been partners forever. They know exactly how to cover each other's blind spots. Baldy hurls his hatchet with insane force, and it glows like a meteor. When it hits the fortress crew, it explodes into a massive dust cloud, blinding everyone. Baldy keeps the pressure on, spamming heavy hits while his team provides a wall of cover fire. All that chaos pins Old Lee's group down, forcing them to scramble for safety. While the fight rages, Boss Ling targets someone else, the youngest kid in the front, little Shuai. Xiao Kai is the only one who sees her coming and throws himself in front of the boy. He tries to guard, but Boss Ling's kick is too fast. Fatty Kai goes flying. He's no match for an elite. Now, Boss Ling finally has her target. I know what you're thinking. This is a total low blow. She grabs the kid by the collar, and everyone freezes. Little Shuai struggles hard, but he can't break free from her grip. To stop him from fighting back, Boss Ling just punches him straight in the face. But the boy isn't the one most affected. It's the tentacle monster, and it's roaring for its son. The beast flies into a total rage. Brother Chong takes that opening to rush in and get into position. Sitting on the monster's shoulders, he notices something weird. The beast is completely ignoring him. Xiaoyang tells Brother Chong to let go of the big guy, which just confuses him more. But Xiaoyang knows the monster is ready to risk everything for family. Getting in its way right now? Definitely a bad idea. With her hand tied around the kid's neck, Boss Ling warns the crew she'll snap his head off if they don't drop their weapons immediately. Li Honglei begs her to take him instead. Seeing them panic, Boss Ling knows her hostage plan is working. If anything happens to little Shuai, they could never face his mother back at the camp again. Boss Ling repeats her demand to drop weapons and back up 100 meters. Old Li chooses the safe route and lowers his gun, telling the others to follow. They have zero leverage. Now, she orders the masked mutant to finish off the tentacle monster once and for all. She's so focused on her power trip that she doesn't even see the next attack coming. The tentacle monster flies at her like a missile, forcing her to drop the hostage and jump. A few unlucky goons get caught in its path and shredded. Baldy Pang watches in pure horror as another one of his men is turned into a bloody mess. Boss Ling thought the masked mutant was on her side, but Xiaoyang is just standing there, grinning at her. The mutant stands right beside him. Both of them are barely even paying attention to the battle anymore. They scream for the kid to run, but the tentacles already have him. Xiaoyang tells them all to just relax. He says the kid is safe. Nobody gets it. All they see is the boy wrapped in those deadly, terrifying tentacles. But this time, the monster is actually holding him gently. It's calling him its son. Trust me, you and I just witnessed a twist that changes everything. They have definitely met this horrifying monster before. This is just the beginning. Look. You and I are diving into a scene that is pure heartbreak. Little Shui just realized this monster is actually his father and completely loses it. Watching the chaos unfold, Baldy Pang starts losing his mind and screams for everyone to pull back immediately. Bad news for the steel mill crew, though. They just picked a fight with something way above their pay grade. While gently holding his boy, Shangji lets those tentacles loose for some payback. Baldy Pang is the first one snatched up. He's begging Boss Ling to cut him loose, thinking they still have each other's backs. Too bad for him. That loyalty is dead. Boss Ling does not hesitate. She bolts for the trees, ready to leave every single one of her teammates in the dust. She realizes they cannot win this, so her plan is pure evil, use the others as bait and run while they are being eaten. But the universe has other plans. She's way too slow, and those tentacles snag her ankles before she can even make it out. She slams face first. Her glasses shatter instantly, and her nose does not look much better after that impact. She knows she is cooked. Those massive tentacles start dragging her right back into the park without a shred of mercy. Baldy Pang actually cracks a smile. Since she tried to ditch him, watching her get pulled back feels like poetic justice. Still, Pang is not giving up. He turns to Li Chong, desperately looking for one last person to save his skin. Before that loyal guy can help the boss who betrayed him, Xiaoyang teleports right behind him. He has got a very simple deal to offer. Pay attention here, because this is where the carnage starts. Xiaoyang steps back and lets the monster go full beast mode on Baldy Pang. That shiny head gets hammered into the dirt. One hit is all it takes to leave him dazed and definitely concussed. Shangji ends it quickly. He whips him with such insane force that there is barely anything left but a messy pile of gore. Pang out of the way, Boss Ling is up next. All her power means absolutely zero in that death grip. She is trapped in those slimy tentacles. It is a slow, brutal end as the pressure builds until she is literally leaking blood. The grip just keeps tightening until she is nothing more than a mangled lump of flesh. Shangji gave her a nightmare ending for touching his son. With the boss dead, Nemesis of Evil Volume 3 is officially wrapped up. Xiaoyang bags 80 points, hitting a total of 151. Finally, the possible ally part of the mission makes total sense. He basically just recruited a mutant powerhouse. Now he turns to Li Chong, who is obviously loaded with questions. First, he asks if Xiaoyang leads the East Fortress. Then, he brings up the dark rumors about cannibalism that started flying earlier. Xiaoyang is blunt. In this world, becoming an evolver is not just about being lucky. Slowly, the dots start connecting for Li Chong. He remembers those early days at the mill, taking care of a woman and her kid. A girl once asked for some of his canned meat, and he gave it to her, thinking it was just a nice gesture. Horrible truth hits him like a freight train, leaving him on the verge of a total breakdown. Right after sharing that meat, the monster attacks started. The woman he was helping, her daughter suddenly vanished in the chaos. He realizes the attacks were just a cover-up to cull the weak and murder their own people for food. Let this sink in the meat given to the elite fighters. It was human flesh the whole time. Bosses literally forced him to become a cannibal just to power up. Li Chong finally snaps. He starts pummeling the boss's remains, screaming as he is covered in gore. By the time he stops, he is literally soaked in red. He glares at Xiaoyang, teeth bared, and demands to know if his power came from the same sick method. Li Hongul steps in to set things straight. They are not monsters, they just know more about survival than everyone else. Thanks to Xiaoyang's knowledge, they found a better way. To prove it, he hands Li Chong a glowing mutant core. These cores are rare, but they are way more powerful and do not come with those disgusting side effects Li Chong is feeling. See, evolvers made from human meat struggle to control their rage and are basically ticking time bombs of violence. Unfortunately, he cannot undo what has been done. All he can do is stop the cannibalism now before the urges take over. Looking at Shangji, Xiaoyang is relieved the father and son finally found their way back to each other. When asked if he can still talk, Shangji struggles out a few broken words. He can barely string a full sentence together. Even so, Xiaoyang seems to understand exactly what he is trying to say. His speech is wrecked, but his mind is still there. Problem is, bringing a giant monster back to base would scare everyone. Luckily, Shangji knows the city well. Seeing his kids safe is all he needs. He even calls Xiaoyang a super high-intelligence genius. That is his way of saying the kid is a genius. With the bosses gone, the steel mill needs a leader. Maybe Li Chong? You and I have to wonder after learning that truth. How could he ever trust himself to lead again? Alright, you and I are jumping into a story where monsters are normal. Xiaoyang puts the ex-cop in charge of the mill while Liang joins the fortress. While the park settles down, something much worse is brewing right at the edge of City S. A group of survivors is fighting for their lives, chased by freaky creatures through a thick green haze. They are making some cold-blooded choices, leaving anyone behind who cannot keep up. Once those vine monsters get close, you run or you die. The left-behind survivors are torn apart as the green fog claims the city. By the time the feeding frenzy ends, the victims are just unrecognizable piles of meat. Then, a plant-controlled corpse stands back up. City S has turned into a total nightmare. The group is thinning out fast. One woman collapses, and her boyfriend tries to drag her along, knowing that stopping means certain death. Suddenly, a weird sound echoes. They realize it is the wind, meaning the edge of this hellish forest is finally within reach. Freedom is right there, but so are the mutants. They cannot afford to waste a single heartbeat. The couple at the back keeps pushing. Safety is so close. A few more minutes and they finally see light ahead. Then, out of nowhere, a sentient vine snags the woman like it was waiting for her. Pay attention here, because things get brutal. A giant Venus flytrap vine snatches her into the air and chokes her in an instant. Her body is literally ripped in half, and her legs just thud onto the dirt. Her boyfriend loses it, screaming for Xiaoyang in total despair. But the rest of the group? They have zero time to mourn. The mutants are right on their heels. Their leader delivers a heavy slap to the man's face to snap him back to reality. Xiaoyang is gone, and crying won't bring her back. Now, he has to decide if he wants to live. They finally break out of the forest and hit another city. Those plant mutants are still trailing behind slow, but they never stop. They aren't fast, but their numbers are insane. The leader keeps the pace until he finds a landmark he actually recognizes. He realizes they've reached M City Wilderness Park. It's weirdly quiet, though. No survivors, no zombies, just a whole lot of nothing. Maybe everyone fled after City S fell. Then, the group spots someone trying and failing to hide behind a street pole. Since the guy isn't attacking, they figure he is human and ask where the evacuation point is. I know what you think, but that is actually the monster, Jang Xiaoyang. Once he reveals his dark skin and writhing tentacles, these survivors realize they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Bolt again, not stopping until the monster is out of sight. Now they wonder if the world outside the forest has fallen. Before they can catch their breath, the plant hunters corner them. They are officially trapped. Surrounded on all sides, the survivors start to crack. Some even wish they had stayed behind in that hellish forest instead. Maybe Xiaoyang would still be breathing. As the mutants close in, the men are facing a truly grim choice. Leader is ready to end it himself rather than be eaten. Luckily, fate has other plans today. Shangji's tentacles whip across the street, effortlessly popping the heads off those plant mutants like they were nothing. This is his territory, and he is not about to let these green invaders trash the park. Back at the Eastern Fortress, Xiaoyang watches the moon while reflecting on his utopia plan. Honestly, everything is going exactly according to schedule. Community score is at 62, and his shop points hit 231. Xiaoyang is officially rich and the daily shop is calling. Today, he can snag a level 2 armed deterrence box for 20 points, level 2 black tech box for 50, or a superpower box for 100. That last item actually shocks Xiaoyang. He instantly clears the whole shop, and the armed deterrence box rewards him with an armored jeep. Black tech box drops an enhancement serum, while the superpower box gives him a level 1 enslavement mark. The skill lets him enslave any living being, but his core team is still steady, so he has no reason to use it yet. Right after his haul, a new mission pops up. Weed Control Volume 1 has officially entered the chat. At first, he thought it was just some boring gardening task. Then Shangji gives him the update about the incoming plant army, and suddenly the mission makes a lot more sense. Late that night, the fortress crowd gathers outside the walls to get a good look at the tentacle monster. Shangji leads the survivors he saved to the boss, dragging a dead plant mutant along for a little show and tell. Shangji's wife and son run to him in total joy. His human speech is mostly gone, but he still manages to say the words, "Marry me." Only Xiaoyang understands him. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are watching this weird reunion, but Xiaoyang is already busy inspecting a dried-up mutant corpse. Shangji tried to explain the chaos, but he was stumbling over his words, so the survivor leader stepped in. Escape from City S, a place that has been completely overrun by these lethal plant mutants. City M is no paradise, but it beats the nightmare they left behind. On their way to the fortress, they spotted crowds of walkers. Xiaoyang sent a scout to retrieve the armored jeep he had parked safely about 2 blocks away. He is planning to scout the border between the cities tonight. With the armored ride and a guide, the trip was smooth. Even though it has only been a few hours, those vines have already skyrocketed in height and spread like crazy. To solve this, Xiaoyang wants to head deeper into the jungle. The survivor just escaped that hellhole, so he wants no part of going back. But sticking their heads in the sand is not an option here. Now pay attention, because if the Westwind steel mill gets swallowed, their whole production and lives will fail. But Xiaoyang thinks another task should definitely come first. He needs his team to level up so they can survive without him holding their hands every single time. Old Li and the new crew are joining in. For the next few days, it is time for a massive hunting spree. Over at the mill, a different mutant is lurking in the shadows, feasting on any zombie it finds. Fortunately, that ugly thing's days are numbered. Tonight, Xiaoyang is moving through the dark like a silent assassin. With one clean strike, he ended the mutant. With the big threat gone, the crew finally opened fire and let loose. Rained bullets down on the normal zombies marching through the city streets. Under Xiaoyang's lead, they harvested the mutant cores from the bodies, slowly stacking up their valuable loot supplies. But here is the part you and I need to watch. They are not the only ones hunting today. Regular zombies are nothing to this overfed evolver. He kills them for snacks, but he is tired of eating roasted walker meat. What he is really craving is the taste of fresh human flesh. Luckily for him, the scent of his favorite meal is drifting nearby. At the mill, the guards are getting way too arrogant. Some of them are even sneaking past the perimeter just to blast zombies for a few laughs. That is the exact scent the buff evolver caught. He is drooling for pure humans who have not turned yet. He is not stupid. He knows those guys have heavy firepower, so a frontal assault would be a death sentence. He should wait a few days, but the thought of fresh meat has him acting like a starving dog. Back at the base, Xiaoyang is scrolling through the system shop again before calling a group meeting. After 3 days of hunting, he tells Li Hong, Li, and Zhang Qi to split up all the spoils. Old Li tries to argue, saying they should not keep everything when the whole group worked for it. Xiaoyang shuts him down. The others are already loaded with enough guns and ammo for now. What they really need are elite warriors, not a bunch of half-grown evolvers. Besides, everyone here completely trusts his lead. Xiaoyang has never steered them wrong. As for Shan Shan, he has a special plan just for her. He pulls her into a private room, just the two of them. Looking nervous, she asks what he is planning. Outside, the rest of the nosy group is eavesdropping. All they hear is the boss telling her to endure the pain. When the door finally opens, the whole group gets caught. Jang Qi awkwardly jokes that the boss finished way too fast. They clearly had the wrong idea about what was happening. But hey, at least Jang Qi is consistent. Shan is clutching her arm next to an empty syringe. Yeah, she definitely got poked, but not like they thought. After eating so many cores, Jang Qi is a top-tier fighter. Now, Xiaoyang wants him to spar with a boosted Shan Shan. Jang Qi refuses, claiming he does not hit girls, so Xiaoyang tells Shan Shan to slap him with everything she has. Jang Qi is feeling pretty cocky about his toughness thanks to all those mutant core upgrades. Then Shan Shan slapped him so hard his face twisted and his jaw almost shattered. The guys had to jump in. Even Shan Shan is stunned by the terrifying amount of strength she is now packing. Xiaoyang gave her a physical enhancement serum, making her nearly as strong as Brother Chong. Jang Qi definitely underestimated her. And obviously, Xiao Kai is not going to let him live it down after getting wrecked like that. With the team ready, Xiaoyang assigns roles for the jungle mission and picks the survivor leader to be their guide. Trust me, you and I just saw a guide who is too terrified to ever go back. All right, stick with me here. Liang mocked him for backing out, but the guy had a point. He had no family left in that city and preferred the safety of the fortress. So, the man who lost his girl volunteered to lead them as a guide instead. Meanwhile, out in the western suburbs, some buff evolvers are scouring every building for someone. His brain is slowing down every single day. He needs fresh human meat soon or it's game over. Pay attention here. As he was banging his head in frustration, he heard a strange pounding in the distance. He followed the noise instantly. When he kicked open the door of an abandoned building, he found two couples acting just like wild animals. The buff evolver cleared his throat loudly to get them to stop and look his way. All four knew exactly who he was, and nobody was happy about it. He quickly told them he wasn't there to steal anything this time around. He came with vital info, but the women didn't trust a single word he said. They'd all accepted being half monsters by now, so lying was pointless. He swore it was the truth. He found a group of armed humans and wanted help hunting them down. The half-monsters crowded around, watching his every move and listening to every word. Finally, they agreed to trust him just this once. If he lied, they'd eat him. Just like that, he was part of the group. And the redhead half-monster gave him her own version of a warm welcome, and he definitely wasn't turning that down. While that weird scene played out, Xiang's team finally made it to the border. Their guide is Juing Kai, who's still mourning his girl, and Xiaoyang respects his grit. Shang Kai wants total revenge on the plant mutants that took her. Plus, his parents are still trapped in the jungle. Xiaoyang takes the lead. Liang guards the rear. Brother Chong and Shang Ji cover the flanks, while Shingai stays right in the middle. Xiaoyang only risked this trip to stop the jungle from invading his land. Any rescue mission is just a bonus. Suddenly, a wet vine dropped down and splashed gross slime on his face. Shang Kai instantly went on high alert. He'd seen that slime before and yelled for the boss to move, but it was too late. The vine wrapped around Xiang's neck like a python. Then, the giant fly trap appeared, the same monster that bit Xiao Tang in half. You and I are about to see him do the impossible. Xiaoyang grabbed the vine and pulled without an ounce of fear. He yanked so hard, the creature's nasty insides came spilling out. Shang Kai was stunned into silence. The mutant's guts hit the ground with a heavy, wet thud right in front of the boss. They wriggled on the dirt like a bag of slimy grapes. The fly trap knew it was in trouble and tried to bolt. Xiaoyang didn't even bother chasing it. He sent Shangji instead, and the mutant didn't let him down. His tentacles shot out and snared the plant. Once he had a grip, he yanked it back and slammed it down. Surprisingly, the fly trap released a cloud of green gas to defend itself. For some reason, it didn't feel dangerous at all. It actually smelled sweet. But Xiaoyang got suspicious. Smoke that smells that good is usually a very bad sign. He was about to warn everyone to cover their noses when the light suddenly vanished. The others were trapped in their own hallucinations, too. Zhang Kai felt a weird pounding in his head. When he looked around, the rest of the team was frozen in place. Something rustled in a nearby bush. A woman stepped out and called his name. When he looked closer, it was Xiaowang. He remembered her death vividly, so seeing her again like this completely shattered his common sense. He moved toward her in total disbelief. Xiaoyan waved him closer and claimed the other survivors were just around the corner. Completely mesmerized, Shankai followed her voice. Meanwhile, the big raid on the steel mill had already begun. Half-monsters reached the factory full of human prey. One of them started drooling the second he caught their scent. Nothing hyped him up like fresh meat. The others told him to chill, but hunger had taken control. Before they could stop him, he charged in blindly. He was ready to feast without even having a plan. Guards spotted him immediately, but they were way too slow. Before they could even aim their rifles, one was already lunch. The gunfire alerted Li Hongli. The guards had dealt with zombies, but a half-monster was on a whole different level. The rifles did absolutely nothing. Every shot healed instantly as the hunter kept feeding without pause. He would have wiped them all out if old Li hadn't shown up and kicked him in the gut. That hit sent him flying. He recovered midair and landed cleanly. At this range, old Li could keep blasting him with heavy-duty rounds. The idiot had to retreat. Distance meant bullets, but getting close meant a beating. Old Li ordered his men to get the wounded to the infirmary fast. The half-monster limped back to his group, feeling hurt and totally humiliated. Didn't even make it back before collapsing. His group showed no mercy. They'd warned him to wait, but he was too dumb. He snapped for meat so he could heal. Trust me, you and I haven't seen the end of this fight. Stick with me in this group. If you're weak and dumb, you get left behind. And this guy? Still arrogant as ever. Done with his whining, one of the girls just crushed his neck until he stopped moving. Fewer mouths to feed means more meat. With the dead weight gone, the 4 remaining half-monsters started planning their move on the factory. While the boys were still overthinking, the girls already had a plan. Since they still looked human, they'd just walk through the front. Back in the woods, Kai hesitated. He felt something totally unnatural pulling him right toward the fake Xiaoyan. The fake was getting impatient and her disguise was falling apart. Before she could grab him, a flying knife took her head clean off. The second time in just a few days, Kai had to stand there and watch his girl die. That knife came from Xiaoyang, who had also been caught in the trance. Still shaking, Kai turned his rage on the boss. Xiaoyang made him look at the bushes again. Slowly, that bloody illusion faded away, and the real truth finally showed itself. It was nothing but a mess of tangled vines. After that, Xiaoyang went around snapping everyone else out of their trances. Li Chang felt like years had passed. Even the two mutants had been completely messed up by the plant. Xiaoyang guessed the flower was leaking hallucinogenic gas. To be sure, he cut into the vines to see what was inside. Now, pay attention, the thing he killed was just a puppet. The real monster's body was actually hidden deep underground. While following those roots, he dug up something strange. It looked like a giant potato or some kind of taro. Maybe it's a storage organ for the plant. Just in case, he tossed it into his dimensional space. Might be edible, who knows? Then he asked Kai what he knew about these plant monsters, but the guy only knew they were deadly. Old he might know more. He was an expert from the Agricultural and Forest Research Institute before everything went south. Before Kai escaped, that old man was staying in a high-rise camp. Wanting real answers, Xiaoyang changed their course. Back at the steel mill, the half-monsters were ready to put their simple little plan into action. Red limped to the gate, acting all scared and exhausted while showing off her body. She even staged a dramatic fall right near the entrance. One of the guards up on the wall spotted her immediately. The others gathered fast, thinking a survivor was looking for help. But protocol went out the window the second they saw her. One guard wanted to report it, but another just wanted her inside. Red cried for help, and the fool totally fell for it. You and I saw that coming, right? From a distance. The other monsters watched with amusement. Red was killing it. Of course, the other girl wasn't about to be outdone. She insisted she could pull it off way better than Red. Either way, they were in. The group pushed through the dim jungle and finally reached the next city without any more trouble. Once they got close to the old camp, someone from inside suddenly called out Kai's name. It was his Aunt Yang peeking from behind a wall. Normally, he'd run straight to her, but after that illusion, he froze. He rubbed his eyes, and Xiaoyang just laughed, telling him the gas had already worn off for real. On the other side, Aunt Yang's camp was panicking. They weren't sure if the people coming from the woods were friendly or not. Some wanted to save Kai, while others doubted it was him. Aunt Yang decided to choose violence first. She led a few men forward and launched an attack, hoping to catch the newcomers off guard. Zhang Ji could have ended them instantly, but Xiaoyang told everyone to stay calm while slapping arrows away with his bare hands. Then he shouted for the strangers to stand down, and surprisingly, they actually paused their attack. Kai stepped in and told his aunt these people weren't enemies. Aunt Yang finally told her men to stop firing. Kai explained that Xiaoyang's group had actually traveled from outside the jungle. She asked about the others. He admitted half his group was gone or hurt, including Xiao. When he asked to go inside, the city people hesitated. The big problem? Brother Chong and Shangji looking like monsters. Xiaoyang stepped up and tried to reassure them, even asking the two mutants to help calm the crowd. Brother Chong took off his mask, saying he was gentle despite his face. Shangji just flexed his muscles. Xiaoyang was so embarrassed. He really hoped they'd act normal for once. After a long pause, Aunt Yang finally let them all inside the camp. Back at the steel mill, Shan Shan returned to the front gate. She radioed old Li and told him to open up. Before heading in, her sharp senses caught something hostile nearby, but it was faint and vanished in an instant. Half-monsters quickly hid their bloodlust again. Old Li opened the door himself, and the monsters finally started to relax. They almost got caught. Trust me, you and I need to keep an eye on Shan Shan. She's a pure evolver. All right, you and I are about to see monsters that only care about how good you'll taste after a kill. Shan headed straight to the medical bay to check on the men who were attacked earlier. Yang left her in charge of the infection meds just in case, but Old Li wasn't so sure. His guys had been bitten for hours and still looked fine, so the attacker definitely wasn't a zombie. Amid the confusion, a girl named Red claimed mutated humans were hunting people in the western suburbs. Old Li had never seen her before, but she sounded like she knew exactly what she was talking about. Through tears, she added that these mutants were smarter than zombies and she barely escaped on a bike. To Old Li, it sounded like she brought trouble to his door, but the simping guards immediately defended her. Li Hongli just wanted intel on the enemy, so Red warned them to prepare for another attack. Since Red was barely wearing anything, Old Li told her to go get some rest first. As everyone left, Shan Shan stayed behind. She couldn't shake the bad feeling this newcomer gave her. Ultimately, she blamed her paranoia on stress. Meanwhile, the main group reached a high-rise covered in green smog. Jiang wondered why survivors chose this spot instead of the stronger buildings right next to them. Reason? Street level equals death. That green fog turns anyone it touches into a plant mutant. Only floors 10 and above are high enough to stay safe from the infection. They climb the stairs while talking. At the top, Xiaoyang briefed Professor He on the jungle and the world. After that, he introduced Brother Chong and Sheng Ji to the people living inside the high-rise. As for other cities or overseas, no news. There was still no sign of an organized rescue. Everyone was on their own. Then, Xiaoyang showed the professor that weird potato he had dug up. Professor He called it a plant mutant tuber. Apparently, the people here had been eating them to survive. Without a massive food shortage, they never would have touched something so creepy looking. Still, finding food was huge. But their talk was cut short by an emergency right outside. Starvation is the only reason they ate this. Finding any food source was a massive win. Now, watch this part carefully. A massive swarm of plant mutants was suddenly surrounding the entire building. They called these things flower carts. That name made Professor He turn pale. This could be the end. He ordered everyone to listen up. Women and children needed to lock themselves in sealed rooms upstairs. Anyone who could fight had to gear up. He'd rather save a few than lose everyone. His people didn't hesitate. They were ready to risk everything to protect their home. The professor told Xiaoyang to hide since he was young, but the kid just laughed it off. He wanted to see the monster himself. He warned that if they didn't kill the main body, they're dead. This boss basically controls every other plant mutant nearby. He uses pheromones to launch attacks, and the main body had to be close. Suddenly, Xiaoyang opened the window. Then he pulled a rifle out of thin air, deciding to test the enemy's strength himself. From above, he sniped them one by one. These things were tough, healing deadly wounds in seconds. Xiang wanted to find their breaking point. He focused every single shot on a single mutant's head. Like the others, it stayed standing for a bit. Then, it finally hit the ground. The test proved it takes 2 full magazines to kill just one. No wonder people were terrified. Pay attention here, our lead has endless guns in his personal space, and pulling out crates stunned everyone there. Then he ripped those crates open with his bare hands. The survivors just stood there, completely speechless. Inside were Molotov cocktails, the ultimate enemy of plants. He told them to burn anything that got inside. Then, without saying a word, he jumped out the window. His 2 mutant brothers followed right after. All 3 dove off the 16th floor and landed perfectly right in front of the ugly monsters. The creatures rushed them instantly. Xiaoyang's answer? He drove his hand straight into a mutant skull. One brutal yank, he tore its head clean off. Brother Chong was just as terrifying. His tentacles made it a bloodbath. You and I are just getting started. Let's dive in. Professor, he realized how dumb he was for telling Xiaoyang to hide. Luckily, Li Cheng was upstairs handling the stragglers. He took charge, ordering the brave ones to grab Molotovs and guard the stairwell. The first time in months, these high-rise survivors actually felt a glimmer of hope down there. Xiaoyang wiped out the rest of those plant mutants before having his mutant brothers scavenge the bodies for cores. As for our main character, he wanted to hunt down this flower cart himself. Any mutants that slipped through were torched instantly. Thanks to Xiaoyang's crew, nobody had to die this time. While the others secured the building, Xiaoyang followed his gut deep into the woods to find what everyone feared. There it was, the flower cart. This beast was the source of City S's nightmare, spewing that toxic green fog. Suddenly, his body screamed at him to move. Xiaoyang trusted his instincts and barely dodged a massive killing blow. The power felt just like Shang-Chi's tentacles. Luckily, he's become an absolute pro at fighting tentacle-type monsters lately. Watch this part closely, he just had to overpower it. Sensing danger, the beast blasted out thick spores. Too bad for the plant. Xiaoyang wasn't falling for that same old trick twice. He held his breath before the green clouds hit. Then, right before his eyes, the flower cart started squirming around wildly. Its lower body split open as nasty legs started pushing out from underneath. The thing tried running on all those gross limbs, but it wasn't getting away from Xiaoyang. He moved his fingers, formed a sigil, and used the slave mark. The power wrapped around the beast. Minutes later, the survivors were shocked to see the flower cart's true body arrive. Professor, he was shaken to his core. He hadn't forgotten just how deadly that twisted monster really was. After parking his brand new servant outside, Xiaoyang walked back like nothing happened, asking Shang-Chi and Brother Chong if they had gathered the mutant cores. Shang-Chi said they got plenty while Brother Chong translated. One mutant buddy sounded like he was chewing rocks, and the other one made even less sense than that. Talking to them was exhausting. Now, pay attention to the professor's question, why was a monster parked outside their building? Xiaoyang casually said it was on their side. To prove it, he led everyone outside. Professor, he forced himself to step closer to that terrifying, strange creature. He touched it nervously, asking how Xiaoyang had managed to tame a nightmare like this. Xiaoyang ignored him, asking what a botanist like him thought of the plant. Professor. He explained it likely still kept its basic plant instincts despite the mutation. Plants compete just as fiercely as animals do. Only instead of hunting prey, they fight for sunlight. Trees grow tall to grab light, while smaller plants have to adapt in other ways. That's why forests have less grass. His guess? The flower cart turned violent after losing its advantage during the mutation. Without any sunlight, it evolved to feed on living creatures instead. Suddenly, the flower cart stretched out a vine. It reached for Xiaoyang, making Li Chong pull a knife to protect him. Xiaoyang told him to relax. With that slave mark active, there was no way the thing could ever betray him. The vine aimed for his spine. The moment it touched his skin, it sent something straight into his nerve system. Flower Cart confirmed the city had become a war zone where mutant plants fed on animals and humans. Now that this giant plant served him, its survival was officially Xiao Yang's responsibility. To show its loyalty, the flower cart opened up and offered its glowing, soft core to its new master. The moment it touched his palm, it merged into his body. Li Chang got worried, but this was just a ritual sealing the bond between master and servant. To test out his brand new powers, Xiao Yang flicked his hand out. Massive vines exploded out with insane force, wrapping around a nearby tree and locking it tight. With one thought, he crushed the trunk in half. Shangji was stunned. Those vines looked even stronger than his own tentacles. Right then, Xiao Yang unlocked the gardener achievement and banked 150 points. While City S was being liberated, the Western Steel Mill came under attack from a mysterious new threat. Ed, that cannibal mutant, kept setting traps, and the steel mill survivors walked right into them every single time. A knock came at her door, so she put on a helpless face and opened up for a man bringing a late-night snack she found very appealing. She was an expert at playing the victim. The guy played the hero, acting all worried about the new girl. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you and I wouldn't want to be in that guy's shoes. All right, stick with me because you and I are about to see a trap disguised as a shy girl retreat into a room. But she just wanted him out of earshot since the walls were paper thin. Like a fool, he walked right into it. It worked like a charm. Outside the mill, things got intense. When they finished, the guy was totally dazed by her beauty and skill. They had already gone all the way, yet he still did not even know her name. Now pay attention, because the mood dies the second he spots a torn sleeve sticking out of a filthy plastic barrel. He lifts the lid only to find a mangled pile of bloody gore that used to be his friend. That is when Red strikes, digging her claws into his throat. Guess he got one last thrill before becoming her dinner. Meanwhile, just outside the steel mill, Red's crew is still lurking in the shadows nearby. Musclehead gets caught napping and takes a heavy hit to the skull. He was supposed to be on watch, and Baldy has zero patience for anyone caught nodding off. This was serious. They needed to be ready for the moment. Red finally gave them the signal to strike. As they bicker, Blondie starts getting really nervous. It looks like Red might be keeping all that fresh human meat inside the mill for herself, like a selfish traitor. So the three of them sneak around the factory searching for any sign of their selfish traitor. Their noses lead them straight to the drums of gore. It is confirmed. Red went rogue, but Blondie has a simple plan to fix it. If Red could flirt her way in, so could she. Baldy hates it, thinking one greedy eater is already enough. Sending another girl in seems risky, but Musclehead steps in and agrees that Blondie makes a fair point. She is their best chance to infiltrate the place now. Deep down, Baldy knows it too. He gives in, but warns that if Blondie pulls the same stunt as Red, he will barge in and slaughter both traitors regardless of the risk. They end up reusing the exact same trick. Blondie starts her helpless act and begins banging on the heavy metal gates. Guards pull their guns instantly. Sobbing, Blondie lies about barely escaping a pack of zombies with her life. The guards check her out and get hyped. They cannot believe their luck finding another babe so soon after the last one. Few of them even think Blondie has the hotter body. You saw that coming, right? Just as they are about to let her in, Red charges out and warns them that Blondie is actually a dangerous mutant man-eater who tried to kill her. Red screams for the guards to blow this flesh-eating witch away. Falling for it, the guards unload their clips into Blondie, forcing her back. She feels the lead tearing through her body, leaving her riddled with deadly wounds. Riddled with bullet holes, she trips, accidentally revealing the monster hiding beneath her short skirt. Guards rush inside for gasoline to torch her, which gives Blondie just enough time to crawl away and escape. Somehow, all three guards leave her alone to report the incident to Brother Lee and Sister Sean. Then, Blondie has already dragged herself back to the crew, collapsing at their feet with the last of her strength. Realizing she is broken, Blondie begs for mercy and promises to follow orders, but Baldy does not care at all. They are all the same kind, and they know the price of being weak. He lifts a massive boulder above his head with one hand. They could always figure out another way to steal the settlement's food supply. Before the rock drops, Baldy is the one who starts bleeding. Musclehead steps up and slits his throat from behind. Baldy's head hits the dirt. Musclehead licks the blood off his blade, savoring every drop. Blondie is beyond grateful, and he tells her she can have an arm and leg to heal up. He is planning on eating the rest of the body himself. Blondie knows it is pure greed. If she had died, he would only get scraps. By killing Baldy, he becomes the boss. Back at the steel mill, The leaders finally realize that people are going missing at an alarming rate. Li Hongli is feeling the heat. What kind of leader lets his men vanish right under his nose? Up with the games, Shan Shan decides to investigate herself, searching every inch of the mill for a clue. It does not take long before she discovers those bloody drums packed with butchered human remains. She brings the armed guards over, and they confirm their friend's jacket is in the soup. They even see Horn Dog's shoe floating right inside the bloody barrel. Red starts to feel the walls closing in. Baldy's crew must have found her stash and left the bodies exposed. Shan Shan sees no signs of a struggle near the settlement. Since the night was quiet, she turns to the newcomer and demands an explanation for all this gore. Realizing the game is up, Red begins to shake with fear. Her usual charms will not work on Shan Shan. Sister Shan draws her blade and throws it straight at Red's heart. And trust me, you and I are about to see if Red is truly human as she dodges that blade with godlike speed. Stick with me, you are about to see a traitor get totally exposed as this knife shreds the trees behind her. Shan Shan finally has proof. Red realizes the game is up. Her sick food source is gone. Panic sets in, and she lunges for the nearest guy she can reach. A hidden blade comes out and she grabs a hostage, screaming that she will open his throat if anyone moves a muscle. Shan Shan does not flinch. She shouts back that if Red kills another person, she is never leaving this place alive. Red is fuming. She hates being backed into a corner by a girl. She is ready to go down, taking everyone with her. She backs away slowly, blade still at the guy's neck. Once there is enough distance, she snatches his gun and kicks him aside. She shoots the guy in the ass for spite and sprints from the mill. Shan Shan stays stone cold, raising her gun for the perfect shot. Bang! She nails the cannibal multiple times. Even with blood leaking from fresh holes in her body, Red keeps on running like a beast. Shan Shan is not letting her get away. She heads for her bike, but Li Hongli steps in and stops her from chasing. They have no clue if Red has backup nearby. The settlement needs to go into full lockdown mode immediately to stay safe. Shan Shan wastes no time, ordering strict screening for every single survivor who shows up at their gates. Newbies get tossed into quarantine at the safe house, while she heads back to the main fortress to report this new cannibal threat. Honestly, Li Hongli is impressed by how capable and decisive she is in this mess. Meanwhile, in the city woods, the plant monsters are lurking. Now watch this. Our main character Jang Xiaoyang tests his insane new powers, ripping through enemies with vines and tentacles. These two monsters, wiping out the entire area is basically zero effort. This lets Brother Chong and Ling gather the cores while burning the remains. Soon, a massive bonfire of undead corpses is roaring. The professor is conflicted. Should he feel safe because of their savior, or terrified by how much power the guy has? Jang Xiaoyang's Utopia mission is hitting high gear. He is raking in points, and the whole squad is in peak condition. With the plant threats cleared out, the squad and the survivors from S City finally reach the main fortress. Uncle Shang greets them and immediately gives the young boss the rundown on everything that went down while he was gone. Jang Xiaoyang introduces Professor He and his academy group. For now, the whole S City crew is going to stay at the fortress. When everything is set, they will head to the edge of the city jungle to start building the third settlement. Suddenly, Shan Shan rolls up on her bike. She reports the mess at the steel mill and demands the main fortress tighten security. 2. Professor's crew gets a pass on the harsh screening since the boss already vouched for every single one of them. Even when Jang Xiaoyang hears about the deaths at the steel mill, he does not seem worried at all. Actually, he sees it as a win. More danger for his utopia just means way bigger rewards for his missions. Right on cue, Part 4 of the Villain Vanquisher mission starts. Clearing the western outskirts nets him 120 points. Meanwhile, Red barely crawls back to the hideout after nearly dying. Suddenly, she hears footsteps and her dark heart skips a beat. It is Blondie, standing over her and laughing like a maniac at how bad she messed up. Red is busted and crawling back to the people she betrayed, desperately trying to claim it was all just a big misunderstanding. After almost getting Blondie killed, death is the only fair sentence. Blondie tells Musclehead to beat Red to death for a snack. I know what you were thinking, but wait. Muscle swings his pipe at Blondie instead, taking out his own teammate from behind. Blondie should have known better than to ever turn her back on a freak like that. Realizing she is done, Blondie warns Red not to trust him. He is a selfish snake who will betray anyone for a benefit. Honestly, Red does not care as long as she is not the one getting smashed. Blondie desperately tries to remind Muscle that Red betrayed them too. But for cannibal mutants like these freaks, words mean absolutely nothing at all. When that fails, she even offers him her body. Too bad. Musclehead apparently likes redheads, not blondes. He finishes her with his bare hands. Then comes his sick ritual. He tosses Red some limbs to heal while he eats the rest. Back at the fortress, the leaders are deep in discussion about the cannibal freaks roaming the west. Li Changjiang was once a cannibal by accident, but Shan Shan's report proves these ones are way more twisted. They have lost all humanity. They are selfish, greedy, bloodthirsty monsters who are completely hooked on eating human flesh. Jang Xiaoyang puts them on the back burner. First, Liang needs to head back to the steel mill to fix those security holes. 2 months pass without any major drama. Deep in the forest, a new group of survivors realizes they have to move or die. They pack their scraps and head out. And that is where we leave it, trust me. You and I need to see what these survivors find next. Trust me, you and I are about to see how a simple hike turns into a literal nightmare for this group. The survivors scrambled away only to find themselves cornered. One path was open, but terrifying sounds echoed from the dark. Since death was coming either way, they chose the gamble. Miles later, they were panting, bruised, and completely at their limit. Suddenly, a massive tree came crashing down right toward them. They bolted in terror, expecting a giant monster. But once the dust settled, they saw humans just casually clearing the area with chainsaws. A survivor spotted Jukai and the crew. Shinakai was stunned to find his old friend, Liang. He explained their new life in M City, but their reunion was cut short as those mutant plants closed in. Ling started panicking, but Shinai just laughed. He told him not to sweat a few overgrown plant freaks. He grabbed his radio and reported the sightings. Then he told Ling and the guys to just stand back and watch the show. Seconds later, the anti-plant squad rolled up in heavy gear with flamethrowers. Lang and his group were absolutely speechless. The squad formed a line and let loose, turning those mutant plants into a massive barbecue. You saw that too, right? Pure destruction. Even the big shots like Li Chang showed up, looking bored since these threats were basically nothing. Lian couldn't believe humans built such a powerhouse. And all of it was thanks to the legendary Chief Xiaoyang. Then he saw Liang standing next to 2 literal mutants and almost lost his mind right there. Locals were used to it. Ignoring Liang's fear, Shanghai invited him to join the city and meet the boss himself. The third settlement on the jungle's edge was thriving. They even had a fully functioning farm running now. Liang was totally floored. While his crew lived in constant fear, these guys were farming in a monster-infested jungle. And these weren't normal crops. They were growing mutated vegetables instead. When Liang grabbed a mutated potato, he freaked out and threw it away like a grenade. Shinakai explained these came from the same monster DNA, but they'd been modified into high-yield food that was safe and super easy to harvest. This was all possible because of Chief Xiaoyang and the professor. They led the whole project and turned scary mutations into a reliable and steady food supply. With Xiaoyang's connection to Flower Cart, editing crop traits was honestly a total breeze. Harvest season was right around the corner. The land clearing was going better than expected. Professor He handled the expansion while Lian guarded the perimeter. With this base stable, it was finally time to crush the western cannibals. Near the border of M City, 2 people strolled around like they owned the place. Jang Xiaoyang and Brother Chang. Muzzled mutant warned his boss they were being followed. Xiaoyang could tell the stalkers were about as strong as Zhang Xi's team. Their plan was simple. Use Brother Chang as bait. The hunters, Red and Musclehead, were just waiting to pounce. Before Red could charge in, Musclehead stopped her from making a reckless move. From their hiding spot, he realized they were too late. Another group had already surrounded the juicy prey below. Now check this out. A pack of cannibal mutants closed in, literally drooling over what they thought was high-quality meat. This rabid mob had never seen a pure revolver like Xiang. They thought eating him would give them a massive power upgrade. Since Brother Chang followed him, they figured Xiaoyang had some secret way to control the undead. They hoped to steal that power by eating him too. Red could only click her tongue and step back for the bigger group. Musclehead wanted to stay and watch. Less than a minute later, the whole street turned into chaos. Brother Chang tore through those revolvers like a beast. Xiaoyang moved with deadly calm, taking heads with every single swing. The survivors of that idiot squad ran the second they realized they weren't the hunters anymore. One unlucky cannibal tried to escape by climbing the building where Red and Musclehead were hiding. That changed everything. If Xiang looked their way, they were done. That fear spiked when he lifted a massive steel beam like it was nothing. He hurled it with perfect aim, sending it flying like a bullet. The beam speared the runner through the back, tearing him apart. Nobody survived Xiaoyang's pipe. Red and Musclehead were nearly caught in the crossfire, getting splashed with blood and guts. Sheathing his blade, Xiaoyang was pretty happy with this unexpected haul. Strong cannibals like these usually have fully formed variant cores. Up above, Red and Musclehead didn't even dare to breathe until the monster left. Once they were sure the young man and his zombie had finally moved on, they figured their patience paid off. They could scavenge the high-quality corpses that were left behind in the street. But you and I know the danger isn't over. While patrolling the west, Xiaoyang felt a presence nearby. Stick around for what happens next. Stick with me. Xiaoyang faces a brand new threat. Since they had been spotted, a random guy stepped out from the shadows with a crossbow, warning them to back off. Xiaoyang could tell instantly he was just a regular civilian. Even while acting tough, Four Eyes looked way too terrified to actually pull the trigger. Xiaoyang tried to talk first, but the slightest movement made Four Eyes panic and fire a bolt right at him. Check this out. Xiaoyang catches that bolt out of thin air like it is nothing. Seeing his only weapon made completely useless, yeah, That man's confidence was absolutely crushed. In the next heartbeat, Xiaoyang closed the gap, crossing dozens of meters in a single step. To prevent any more accidents, he snatched the crossbow right out of the man's shaking hands. Ignoring Four Eyes, he called out to the survivors hiding inside, promising he was not one of those cannibals. Sure enough, about a dozen people crawled out, looking scared to death. Honestly, seeing they had not turned to cannibalism to survive this far into the apocalypse was pretty impressive to Xiaoyang. Now, he decided to stick with them through the dark of night. Four Eyes explained they were headed for the Shifeng steel mill down south. They had heard a radio broadcast about a settlement there that was actually taking survivors in, but on the road, they realized normal people did not stand a chance against the cannibals roaming the suburbs. And they heard rumors about another settlement in the north that was actively hunting the monsters, and it sounded legit. Word was the place was called Jiang, led by a man strong enough to take on 5 or 6 cannibals without even breaking a sweat. Still, with at least 1,000 cannibals out west, things looked grim. One man could not protect everyone. Four Eyes hoped the evolved cannibals were just solo hunters who did not work together. Some in his group disagreed. You and I both know the apocalypse is never that simple, but Four Eyes insists they would have been wiped out by now if cannibals actually teamed up in big groups. One guy still wanted to reach the steel mill to find his brother, even if the odds were basically 0. Plus, he was terrified the people there might actually be cannibals too. Four Eyes was not totally wrong about that. The original leaders of that mill were total monsters, but the man who took them out was standing right in front of them. Xiaoyang calmly explained he had already killed the evolvers in charge and completely overhauled how the place was run. And that is